Western Conference for goals against, and one guy for the Aeros that's played very well defensively, especially last night, Mike Hurlbut.
Well, I thought he was by far the best defenseman last night. He played the 2-on-1s to perfection. He had 3 of them in the first period right there. That's what he was doing last night. He was lying down, not letting that pass go all the way across, and with 7 shots, he showed a little offensive flair, just like here, driving hard to the net. He could not find the net last night to score, but he had the shots, and that's a good sign for Mike Hurlbut.
Well, for the Houston Aeros, one problem that they have faced as of late has been hot goaltending, and tonight they go up against a goaltender that has struggled as of late, Andre Rasico.
Well, he came over from the Chicago Blackhawks organization. He was playing in Indianapolis, and he has struggled here in Kansas City, but he has a lot of NHL experience. Played 68 games with the Montreal Canadiens. You talk about bad nicknames, though, Adam. His name was Red Light Rasico, and that's what Dave Tippett's hoping tonight, that they can light the red light.
All right, that takes us to another edition of the GGP, the Gamble Game Plan, and obviously the Aeros looking to score early.
Well, they need to score early. You just got to look in their last 7 games. They are 1-5-1 when they did not score the first goal. Prior to that, though, Adam, they had won 13 in a row scoring the first goal. And that goes back, you got to capitalize on your scoring opportunities. Last night they had 6 2-on-1s, and they never got a whole bunch of quality shots from those 2-on-1s. They have to get better shots. Stay positive. Who's better at keeping that team positive is Dave Tippett. I'm sure he has the troops rallied tonight.
And I am quite positive that when we return, we will have the opening face-off. The Aeros and the Kansas City Blades from Kemper Arena. We'll be right back. Houston Aeros Hockey on KNWS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, with low fares on every seat, every flight, every day. And by Columbia Healthcare. Healthcare has never worked like this before. And by your local Texas Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers. Test drive one today. And by Whataburger, the homegrown Texas taste since 1950. Welcome to Kemper Arena, Kansas City, Missouri. Adam Gordon, Troy Gamble is the Aeros in the midst of this 3-game road trip, trying to avenge the loss last night. A 2-0 shutout at the hands of the Las Vegas Thunder, and the guy they're counting on again to provide the sparks in goal, Frederick Chabot, who is first in 3 categories in the IHL. First in minutes played, shutouts, and in saves, and hopes he can continue with his good play. He will go up against Andre Rasico, who, as you touched upon, Troy, played 68 NHL games with the Montreal Canadiens, but he was a backup to maybe one of the best goaltenders in the NHL in Patrick Waugh, and you would think that that would have an effect and rub off on a kid such as that. Dave Tippett, 1 game shy of the 500 mark in his coaching career, and he has quite frankly said the defensive play has obviously not been the problem, just can't find a way to get the puck into the net. And Don Jackson, 6 games below 500, and hoping that he can overcome some key injuries that we can touch upon later in the broadcast. We are underway from Kemper Arena as the Aeros start with Rob Balasevic, Mike Yeo, and Al May. This is the line that was put together last night by Dave Tippett in the middle of the Vegas game, actually in the 3rd period, and he really liked it. Puck is in the Aero end. That is loosened up by Balasevic. To the boards it goes, and it's controlled by Dean Ewan. He is out there with Dean Sylvester, Jason Cerrone, Paul Dick, and Jim Kite defensively. Now the puck is deep into the corner. Good work by Sylvester, the Blades, tying up with Yeo. Puck came down for Cerrone. He tried to center one, and that went right through, and Mike Yeo will gather it in, but he's got Sylvester on his case. Sylvester comes out in his first shift, and a good shift for him. He's wreaking havoc down low, good forechecking. And the Blades turning. Cerrone centered one, but it came right to Alme, and the Aeros come out with it. We're a minute gone in the first period. No score in the hockey game. A long shot by May right on, and Rasico stopped it. Sylvester winds one into Aero territory. Wawenka going back, just swinging off the boards, and it's out to center ice. Conroy through the neutral room, lost it to John Purvis. He'll go back into his own end. Now the puck is out at center. Wawenka trying to feather one ahead. Picked up by Jason Herter. A nice pass for Craigwell across the line with Purvis. Craigwell moving in. Purvis cuts down the same lane. Here's a centering pass for David Bruce, but he was tied up by Conroy. Good defensive play there. Conroy motors out to center, and back is Herter. A minute and a half gone in this first period, and there's no score.
Very good open for both teams. Aeros defensively playing very, very tight. Kansas City Blades trying to take the puck to Freddie Shabbat. Just have not been able to muster a good scoring chance yet. And Freddie Shabbat, who, you know, in the last little bit, the only thing I think that really concerns Dave Tippett, and you said what the stats that he leads in the IHL, is that minutes played. You know, he's already played 2,132 minutes. And I think that's going to be a concern as the season wears on.
He's tied for first in shutouts with 5, with Bruce Racine of the San Antonio Dragons. And his saves are at .955.
That's a lot of rubber. You could build a couple truck tires with all that rubber.
Here's a puck that is picked up by the Kansas City Blades. And it across the line. It goes for Ian Boyce. A long shot, and that may have clipped Shabbat. Puck goes to the far boards, and here comes Graham Townsend. He'll loop one ahead for Bowler, but it's intercepted by Boyce. Sat out the New Year's Eve game with a strained groin, but back in action. Has points in 3 straight. Here's a pass for Boyce. Quick shot, flicked wide of the net. Dug out by the Aeros and swung along the boards. Claudio Scremin tied up by Mark Freer. It came back for Boyce. His shot blocked. Boyce trying to pop it away, and it's jumped on by Graham Townsend, and he'll fling that the length of the ice. It will be icing if Scremin gets there. He's got Freer on his case. Freer gets there, but Scremin beat him to the puck, and play is whistled down. 2.5 gone in this first period, and a scoreless hockey game. It has been a good season series as far as the Aeros go. They lead 3-1, but it was not a good outing on November 13 as Philippe Derugo made 39 saves en route to a 4-1 win, but then the Aeros have rattled off 3 in a row.
And the last game, the New Year's Eve game, was just a great hockey game, Adam. Both teams played really, really well. It was the great individual effort by Guy LaRose to get the Aeros tied, and then in the shootout, it was Mark Gregg who made that great move on Larry Dick to let them score 1 goal in the shootout, and Frederick Shabbat shut down the Blades.
A shot right on. Shabbat stopped it, and it's popped away by Jim Kite. And here is Jason Cerrone. Centered one. Jake's trying to roll it away. He was hemmed in by Dean Ewan. And it's rolled along the boards, held in. Sylvester a shot, and that is gloved by Frederick Shabbat. He will hold on to it with just about 3 minutes gone in this first period. No score, and we send it down to the Aeros bench, and we make our first visit with Rob Dobson. And Dauber, obviously, it's not a question of the defense. It's mainly just getting the puck in the net at this point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you see a lot of distraught faces in the dressing room. I know a lot of the guys are frustrated, and it's not, Adam, that we're not getting our chances. You know, 39 shots the last night. There were 30-some the game before as well. It's just a matter of finishing off, and I think, you know, I was talking with Coach Tippett before the game. We've got some guys that are swimming off, and I think more than anything, they're just trying a little too hard. It's just basically now getting back to the basics, taking the puck to net, and taking our chances from there.
Thank you very much. As the puck is shot by the Aeros all the way down the ice, here is Paul Dick going back. And it's rolled along the boards and out to center ice for Dean Sylvester. Get it into Aero territory, and Jakes will go back. Intercepted. Cerrone centered one, and that was deflected by Ewan wide of the net. Yo trying to clear it. It's out to center, reaching for it. Valasevic. He'll go in after, which will negate the icing. Here's Rob Valasevic. He's got May in front, trying to skate away. Good move. Valasevic centered. LaRose is in, and a shot wide. Valasevic a drive, and Rasico got a left pad on it. Picked up by Cerrone. He's belted by LaRose, and the puck is out at center ice.
You can already see the Aeros forwards are a lot more physical tonight.
Al May shoots the puck in, popped away by Rasico. And Paul Dick will swing it to the line. That is held in by Hurlbut. What a contest he had last night in Las Vegas. And here's a penalty coming up. Mark Chenet has the call, and we have a timeout. We'll sort everything out when we return. 4 minutes gone in the first. We are scoreless from Kemper Arena.
good look at Dale Craigwell, who's sitting in the penalty box for a hooking penalty. Guy LaRose hustling Dale Craigwell, getting the stick up in his shoulder area, hauling him down. But it was the work ethic of Guy LaRose, taking the puck off Craigwell, keeping it in, and then getting hooked down. And that work ethic, you saw it on the shift before. Physical Aeros forwards, and then good work ethic by Guy LaRose.
A face-off in the circle to the right side of Andre Rasico. Aeros on the power play. 13.7% for the Aeros, which for them puts them at 17th in the IHL. Here's a centering pass knocked away by Purvis, and down the ice it goes.
And it's interesting that Dave Tippett has went back to 2 defensemen on the point and Mark Lamb on the half wall instead of Mark Lamb on the point.
Well, the Aeros went 0 for 7 last night on the power play, and he's just trying to find something that will click from any offensive perspective he can. Conroy sends it back, and here's Basiggio from the point, steered it Lamb, but he miscommunicated, and he got it out to center ice. Mark Lamb back in his own end. He'll roll the puck ahead. Here comes Al Conroy. He'll bring it across the line. The Rose offsides. 15:20 to go in the first period. No score. Send it down to the bench and Rob Dobson. Dobber, my question for you is, lately, obviously, Mark Lamb's been playing the point. Tonight, Dave Tippett puts him up front. Is that a tough adjustment for a player when he's used to the point on the power play?
Well, it's not an adjustment for a guy the caliber of Mark Lamb. You know, Lammer in the years in Edmonton when they were real successful was playing the point, and probably because of the guys they had up front. But here, he's very versatile for us. He gives us both a threat on the point, and he's more a quarterback out there, Adam. And whether he's quarterbacking from in front of there or in the corner on the point, it really makes no difference to a player of his ability.
Dobber, who did the Oilers have up front?
Sorry?
Who did the Oilers have up front? Anybody we know?
Some guy 99 and 11, and then some Curry guy. I'm not quite sure his last name.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think I know that 99. Saw his brother last night.
Those guys can play. Those old Edmonton Oilers from the heyday of the 80s, the late 80s.
Puck is out at center. Aeros have 47 seconds left on the power play. Here come the Aeros. Hurlbut in his own end. He's attacked by Cerrone, trying to skate away. Backhand pass for Townsend. Aeros still looking to break it in. Puck is shot in with 30 remaining in the man advantage. It's whipped away by Herder, and the Blades get it to center. David Bruce will turn, and he'll swing the puck ahead. That hit a man, and it's finally back into Aero territory. Carl Valamont sends it behind the cage, but the power play down to 13 seconds. Valamont, a soft pass for LaRose too far and blasted away by Jim Kite, and Hurlbut will go back.
Good job by the Blades forwards. A lot of pressure, especially number 10, Boyce.
Here's Mark Lamb as the penalty is over. Teams at 5 aside. Lamb across the line, trying to center one. Here's a chance, this shot, and Rasico makes the save on Al Conroy. What a great play between Mark Lamb and Al Conroy. And, you know, I thought those two showed sparks of gelling last night.
Well, they played together when they were in junior. Al Conroy getting the puck, just trying to get it back out in front of the goaltender, just cannot get it back to another Aero player, but a great pass by Mark Lamb to give it to Al Conroy. Rasico reaching back and just covering up the loose puck.
And the goal would have counted, but that could have been a questionable goal. I thought maybe Conroy was just a step off sides on that play. I mean, really close to getting in ahead of that play.
I agree with you there. And he's had success, though, Adam, against Kansas City. In the 4 games, he has 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. But the big one was 18 penalty minutes. He's played very physical against the Kansas City Blades.
Off the draw, Aeros have it. We're back at even strength, and here's Dave Morrison. Sat out 2 games for the suspension that he got a week ago here in that early fight, that instigator he had with Dean Ewan. Here's Almay, the drive, stopped by Rasico, rebound, goes in with a shot, stopped by Rasico, another drive, and Rasico is there to cover up. So the Aeros getting quality chances there, but Andre Rasico holding his ground, and he will hold the puck with 13:42 to go in the first, no score.
And one of the scouting reports on Rasico is that you are going to get a lot of rebounds. It's a long shot by Almay, who gets a lot of wood on it, and then the rebound. Mike Yeo gets it and then blows it on him twice. But Rasico, well, he's a French kid, so you're going to see him going down in that butterfly style. Mike Yeo getting 2 good shots, but the pressure of Paul Dick did not give Mike Yeo the opportunity to shoot where he wanted to, which was upstairs.
Off the face-off, Aeros have it. Here's Almay, tied up by Paul Dick. May looking in the corner. Paul Dick's got him tied up. They corral in the corner. Morissette trying to loosen things up. Brent Culloden picks up the puck and it's cleared. Back is Basigio.
One thing I already noticed, Adam, is that the Aeros forwards, Dave Tippett's trying to get a line combination of very physical. Look at that line. Mike Yeo, Al May, Dave Morissette. That is a physical line.
For those of you wondering about Bill Bowler, he is not suspended, but he is still pending review from the league. We mentioned last night about the match penalty. They are waiting to review it at the league, so he is eligible for tonight's game. Here's a puck that's controlled by Jim Kite, and Dean Ewan will turn and shovel it to center. It's into Aero territory. Hurlbut goes back. This will be an icing call as Hurlbut is there, and play is whistled down. Take a break. 12:48 to go in the first period. We're scoreless from Kemper. Scoreless hockey game from Kemper Arena. Fans call 627-AERO and ask about the Fans Choice Flex Plans. For the sports fan in you, and it's Houston Aeros Hockey. They'll let you choose the games you want to attend. Representatives have the vouchers for you. Call 627-AERO for more information. Here's a puck that is centered, knocked away, and jumped on by Normand Rochefort, and shot out at center ice. Here's David Roos. Banks one ahead. It's a 2-on-1. Purvis going to the net. It's centered. Blocked by Werwinka. Good defensive play by Darcy Werwinka. Puck is in behind. Hurlbut trying to wrestle it away. It was batted down by David Bruce. And here come the Aeros.
He must have been watching Mike Hurlbut last night. He played that very well, staying in between the two Blade players.
Here's Conroy centering one. That's knocked away. And it's shot back to center ice. Hurlbut goes back to take it.
Speaking of last night, Adam, have you been involved in a game that you saw so many 2-on-1s?
Well, yeah, I have, but not this year.
That was amazing.
6 each way. I felt about 6 quality 2-on-1s for both teams. Here come the Blades. They're offsides in play. Is whistled down, and let's send it down to the Aeros bench. And Rob Dobson and Domber, your thoughts on the physical play tonight?
Well, it's something you're going to have, as Troy mentioned earlier too, this is something you can watch and look forward to the rest of the game. Tip's had a little bit of a new dimension here. He's put Almay with Yo and Valasevic, and he's also going to substitute Moose Morissette in there the odd time. I think what the idea there is to get a little bit of guys down low and kind of wear down their defensemen. It's things we haven't been doing the last few games and create a lot of opportunities for our forwards. So it's another little bit and a little trick to maybe look for the rest of the evening.
Off the face-off. Blades have it. Here's Scremin ripped one in there, and Shabbat right there to make the save.
And that's where Gary Shuchuk has really missed, Adam, is that he was that physical forward, always finishing his checks.
Well, and I thought Mark Lime had a great quote, and it was not as much the words as the expression. When I asked him, I said, does this team miss Gary Shuchuk? And the way he said it, we really miss Gary Shuchuk. The look in his eyes, it's not just the offense, but everything that guy brings. I mean, a lot can be said for a guy's personality.
Yeah, what he does, Adam, is that he plays so hard that it forces all the other forwards and all the other Aero players to play just as hard.
Puck bounce back into Blade territory, and Scremin going back for Kansas City. 9 minutes gone in the first, still no score. This game beginning to take a little bit of a motif that we saw New Year's Eve.
Both teams playing very well offensively and defensively. Kind of seems like that New Year's game just being replayed.
That was a great game as Hurlbut a drive, stuck aside by Rasico. Scremin. He'll roll it up ice and into Aero territory. Jakes has to go back. He will. And this will be an icing call on the Kansas City Blades. 10:41 to go in the first period. No score. The Aeros return to the Summit this weekend for a pair of tilts with the Chicago Wolves. Tickets are available by calling Ticketmaster at 629-3700. Game time Saturdays at 7. Sunday's game is at 6. The Aeros and the Wolves this weekend at the Summit. We will mention also that the Sunday game can be seen on Fox Sports Southwest.
Good look at Frederick Shabbat, who Dave Tippett playing him in consecutive nights. He feels Frederick Shabbat is stronger the second night. Feels that he plays a little more simpler.
Off the face-off, puck is in. Blade territory. Al May loosened it up, looks in front, trying to center one. Here's Yo with a quick shot, and he let it go wide of the net. This has really been the line for the Aeros. Not just tonight, but last night. His Valasevic drive, and he was bumped off the puck. He had fallen on it, didn't know that. And play is whistled down, and you may have seen Mike Yo slapping his stick out of frustration, and that's the one thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I will say the guys must be feeling at least a little bit of frustration the way that things have gone. 5 games, 5 goals for this hockey team. and not a lot to show for it. And, you know, they're waiting to see some rewards for their good defensive play.
And it will come. The forwards and the defense, once they start keep working together, the goals will come. They just have to find that niche. And I think Rob Dobson said it very well when he said that they're struggling, and it's a little confidence thing. And once the Aeros boards do get it in front, they seem to have a little stone hands right now. And I think that will loosen up once they start scoring a few.
Aeros with the puck. Work it back to Hurlbut. As we're even in the shot department at 6. We're even in the score at 0. Aeros trying to get the puck into the Blade zone. Paul Dick is there to take over. And the pass goes into Aero territory. Hurlbut is back to play, trying to get away from Sylvester. This has been the line for Kansas City, I thought, that's been very solid. Jason Cerrone, Dean Sylvester, and Dean Ewan. How well has Dean Ewan been?
Well, they're all hard workers. And once they get the puck in deep, they cycle it so well.
Sylvester rolls it into Aero territory, gloved by Shabbat. And he will hold on with 9:34 to go in the first period. And a scoreless hockey game.
Dean Ewan, who played junior in Spokane, had a very good junior career, was tough kid. Just scored his 5th goal of the year, and that's a career high for Dean Ewan at this early part of the season.
I think we touched upon it in the last game. He's their Moose Morissette. Same exact kind of character.
Oh, and that's why they met up last game. You know, they both play very physical and very tough characters. But you can see the development of both Dean Ewan and Dave Morissette, that every game they seem to get a little better and better.
Guy LaRose has it out at center, rolled a puck to Conroy. He'll shoot it into Kansas City territory. Rassico comes out of the net. LaRose run into him there. Battle behind the caves. Lamb trying to loosen it up. He's belted along the boards by Jason Herter. And it's turned around by Craigwell. Craigwell to center. Rolled it ahead for John Purvis. He centered one. That went wide. Lamb trying to jump on it. He'll come to center ice with LaRose and Basigio. Lamb dropped it back. LaRose cuts it back. Conroy can't get a shot away. And Rassico had to reach over and hold on to it. Now Normand Rochefort giving an extra shot to Basigio. And that means Captain Conroy comes in there to voice his displeasure. But cooler heads prevail. 9 minutes gone or to play in the first. We are scoreless. We'll be back.
Mark Lamb going to give the puck to Guy LaRose, who had to go to the bench to find another stick. His stick had broken. I'm not quite sure whose stick he has, but he makes a nice little nifty pass.
It looks like
to Al Conroy. Al Conroy trying to get the puck on net. Does a good job.
I mean, it's hard to tell, but it kind of had that look of maybe Mark Freer's stick.
I think you got pretty good eyes. I tend to agree with you.
Here is Al May back in his own end. For the Aeros, he'll crank a drive, and it's a glove save made by Rassico. Here come the Kansas City Blades. A pass ahead with Jeff McLean. McLean turns it down for Ian Boyce behind the Aero net. Sends, here's a drive by Scrimmage, stopped by Shabbat, popped away by Yo. Now rolled down. Here's Hurlbut going back. And he'll move it up the ice. Dallas 7 sends it right back. 8:05 to play in this first period. Scoreless from Kemper Arena.
Are you sure this is just not a tape of the New Year's Eve game?
I'm not sure.
Wow, both teams playing very solid.
Drew Palmer for Kansas City gets a puck ahead for Dean Ewan. And it's out into center ice and back into Aero territory. But Basigio turns around, flings it for Bill Bowler. Circled back, looks in front. That's chipped away by Ewan. Back to center. And Basigio is there. Nice pass for Freer across the line with Townsend and Bowler. Here's Graham Townsend, the drive, and he ripped the bullet wide into the glove side of Andre Rassico. Dean Sylvester had it chipped away by Warwenka, and the Blades clear to center. Kansas City going back, and here is Jim Kite. As steady a defenseman you will find in the IHL.
And that's why he was rewarded with that 3-year contract.
Warwenka gets the puck into Blade territory. Got Kite going back once again, and he'll roll it up ice. Sylvester had that chipped away. Shots are at 7 apiece. And we're down to under 7 minutes to play in this first period. Still no score. Guy LaRose along the right wing boards. pulls up looking for a man to pass to. He was knocked off the puck by Jim Kite. And here comes David Bruce to center. Bruce down the left side. Takes a hit from Valamont. Conroy throws his shoulder in there. And Bruce giving it to Conroy behind the play a little bit. Those two look at each other. And it's right back down into Kansas City territory. And icing is the call as Herter goes back. Andre Rasico, I don't know if he's known as a very good stick handler, but doing some good stick handling here.
Well, he plays the puck pretty good. He shows some nifty moves here because the puck is stuck on the back of the net. He just wants to get it out, makes a nice, easy play to his defenseman. That's even made it a little tougher since he has not played that much this year. I believe he's only played 5 games all year. That's a nice little play by him to get it off the net, give it to his defenseman so that they can have the easy breakout.
6:30 to go in the opening period. No score. Dale Craigwell with John Purvis and David Bruce. And the Aeros have it off the face-off. Here's Al Conroy. He'll shovel one ahead to center ice for Mark Lamb. Hits the line with LaRose. Basijo cuts to the net as well. Centering pass. Basijo on the back door. Couldn't get a shot away. Purvis turning. He'll come to center ice, and it's brought across the line by Rochefort. Hands it to Bruce. Centered one, and that was blocked by Shabbat. Picked up by Purvis. Centered one again. It bounced back to a Karam for Rochefort in his drive wide of the net. Crankwell turning a centering pass, batted down. Basijo was able to get there and clear it out to center ice.
One thing I noticed the Aeros are doing a better job tonight is supporting each other.
Here comes Purvis, goes around. Here's a centering pass. The shot by Bruce, right on, and Shabbat the save. Wow, cut right around Dave Basijo, and Shabbat made a nice save. Here's a shot by Valasevic, and that hits skates. Mike Yo, his shot right on, and Rasico will hold on as Al May getting in the middle of things right now. Join John Granato weeknights on Sports Night Live at 9 and 11:30 as he gets behind the scenes of your favorite sports at Sports Night Live with John Granato weeknights at 9 and 11:30 on Houston's own KNWS.
And that is a great sports show. I watch that when I'm back in Houston all the time.
He's had Freddie Shabbat on a few times.
Freddie Shabbat had a couple great quotes on that. What Moose Morissette. John said, oh, it's getting physical out there. And he says, I don't care. I got Moose Morissette on my team. He take care of them for me.
That's about what he sounded like.
I don't know. That's not a good imitation at all.
You're trying.
Offord was there.
Off the face-off. Blades have it. 5:28 to go in the first. Still no score. Claudio Stremin gets it out to center. Dean Ewan. Cross-ice pass for Stremin. And he'll hook it right back across the line for Ewan. It came into the slot. Sylvester lost his stick. A tough break for him. And it's kicked down for Dean Ewan. Wrestled into the boards by Al May. Then he lost an edge. Crashed and burned along the boards. May picked it loose. He's got Sylvester on his case. And Valasevic will turn and give the puck up for Mike Yo. Yo out at center. Shoots the puck into the Kansas City end. And Rasico will slow and Drew Palmer will take over. Blades shoot it in. Steve Jakes goes back to play. He'll shoot it over to Mark Freer. And he'll turn and clear it out to center for Graham Townsend. Oop, tripped up a little bit by Jim Kite. Just lost his balance a little bit. Bill Bowler turns it around. Bowler across the line looking in front. He sends one back. Here's Valamont in. Winding, shooting. Rasico saving. Bang away at the rebound. And the Blades were right there. Picked up by Bowler. Hooked it down. Jim Kite was there. And he'll swing to center. Jakes in a foot race with Ferschweiler. And he got over there and gives it to Carl Valamont.
And it's that simple little support. Carl Valamont getting back. Gives Steve Jakes an outlet pass.
Here comes Freer across the line. Freer centered. Townsend's in. And the shot is blocked. Townsend grappling in the corner. Ferschweiler's digging. Battle for the puck. Bowler in behind the net. Sends one along the wall. He had Jim Kite all over him. It came down low behind the cage. Here is Townsend. Good work along the boards. Hemmed in along the wall. Ferschweiler trying to kick it loose. And it's popped away by Paul Dick. And Freer gives chase. Here's Mark Freer. Pass down for Bowler. But Rasico will come out and play it. And the Blades turn it around. Blades trying to snap a winless string of 4 straight into tonight's game as Rowenka goes back. The Aeros right now trying to right the ship that's 1-5-1 in their last 7. LaRose turning, center the shot. What a save by Rasico. Wow. Robbing Mark Lamb. A terrific save. And John Purvis will drill it back the other way. And once again, the Aeros running into solid goaltending. It has not been a lack of scoring chances. Here's a centering pass. And Conroy jumps on it. Give it to Mark Lamb. At center ice, he'll shoot the puck in as LaRose gives chase. Rasico comes out of the net. Behind the cage, and here is Dave Basigio. Got it taken away by Craigwell, but Basigio gets it right back. 2:40 left. First period, no scores. A shot comes on to Rasico, and he'll glove it and hold on, and we'll take a break. 2:34 to go in the first period, and we're scoreless from Kansas City. 2:34 to go in this first period. The Aeros and the Blades scoreless.
Bill Bowler's going to make a very nice pass back to Carl Valmont, who's going to have a hard shot. And watch the traffic, though. Mark Freer and Graham Townsend going to the net. That's what the Aeros need. Aeros have two players crashing in front of Rasico, and that's the way that you're going to start getting goals at him. You need to crash that net, cause traffic.
I guess the one thing I can say about the Aeros offense, they're due. They're due for a big outing. Puck is picked up by Dean Ewan and shoveled out to center ice. No, it was held in. Now back down low. Jimmy Kite wrestling along the boards. And the Aeros trying to clear it. Valasevic turning, rolled it down for Yo. He overskated it, and Cerrone will pick it loose. And the Blades turn and shovel it out. No, it's held in again. The Aeros doing a good job holding the pucks in at the points tonight. Finally, Kite launches it, and it's over the bench. You know, we're talking about the Aeros offense and trying to turn things around. The last time the Aeros scored 4 goals was back on December the 26th. It was that 5-4 loss to the Long Beach Ice Dogs. But the last time they scored 5 goals was back on December the 14th at San Antonio. And there was only once that the Aeros have scored 6 goals this year, and that was back on November the 15th against these same Kansas City Blades.
Well, it's been a problem from day one, Adam, scoring goals. The defensive play has been excellent. Obviously, when you're second in the league and you're number 1 in the Western Conference, you're going to have a lot of success. I think they have some goal scorers. They just have to start feeling a little more confident. Hey, I think it might have to go baggy. You know, and I hate to harp on this, Adam, but I went out to practice one day, and the Aeros went on and won 10 in a row. I might have to don that gear and give the forwards a little confidence.
Well, you've been saying that for 2 weeks, Troy. You're gonna have to do it. Off the draw, Aeros have it. Freer is bumped by Drew Palmer. And Craigwell throws his shoulder into Simone. And it's popped up along the boards. Held in barely by Werwenka. Give it to Bowler. Cuts in front. Here's Bowler. Winds it down. Shot went wide, and Freer drilled from behind. Play moving on. Basigio floats the pass back. Werwenka smacked it down along the boards. Werwenka cuts it down. Simone. Bowler centered one. Nice pass. The shot. Score! Mark Freer from Bill Bowler. And the Aeros break a string of 7 straight where they've given up the first goal. They get it tonight. And they lead this game 1-0 with 1:20 to go in the first.
And it was just all started by good puck movement by all 5 Aeros on the ice. The 3 forwards, the 2 defensemen, and Bill Bowler ends up making a great pass to Mark Freer, who just puts it onto the net. It ends up going 5-hole on Andre Rasico. Mark Freer getting it in the slot and just putting it onto the net. It almost was a little knuckleball as when he went to shoot, he got whacked on his stick, but he still got the puck onto the net, and that's what Dave Tippett wants to see. If you have a chance in that good slot area, get the puck on the net.
Freer is 9th of the year, gives him 26 points. And now the Blades come out with it. Pass for Ferschweiler, blasted away by Hurlbutt. Jason Herter trying to cut across the line. Lamb hit by McLean. LaRose has Herter tied up, and play is whistled down with under a minute to go in the first period, and the Aeros lead at 1-0.
And in the Gamble game plan, we talked about scoring the first goal. You know, the Aeros had won 13 games when they had scored the first goal. And that's just a huge thing for the Aeros. They have a hard time coming back from deficits. They make a game of it, but to go over that hump is very, very tough. And Mark Freer giving the Aeros a very good opportunity now to win this hockey game.
Steve Jenks off the draw, fired it into Kansas City territory. And picked up by Herter, and the Blades come out with it. Herter to center. Pass missing. Boyce went down to Shabbat. And he'll hand it to Jenks behind the cage. Here's Guy LaRose. Cross-ice pass for Al Conroy. Lamb turning. And it's brought in offsides by Jenks. 24 seconds to go in this first period. 1-0 the Aeros lead it. The Aeros, you know, we were talking about the offensive woes for some of these guys, and you look at it like Mark Gregg, 1 goal in his last 20 games, Bill Bowler, 2 goals in his last 19 games. But the thing is, like, there's some guys that once they get through their funk, they'll be fine. Mark Lamb, for example, has just 2 goals in his last 15, yet 7 points in his last 6. And this is a guy that really hasn't been healthy all year.
Well, he's been banged up right from training camp. He had those 2 cracked ribs in training camp, and he's had to fight through all the injuries. And now he's also fighting through. He has not had that much ice time in the last 2 weeks because he was back home with his wife with the baby, and then there was the break. So with that extra ice time, he's going to get stronger and stronger here.
Puck is picked up by Yo and shoveled back into Kansas City territory. And here is Paul Dick to play it as the Aeros send in Almeida forecheck, and there's the horn ending this first period. And obviously a very good period by both teams. It was just a matter of who was going to score first. The Aeros had the bulk of the scoring chances and really capitalized them with that first goal from Freer.
Well, they had the better scoring chances than the Kansas City Blades. I think the shots were fairly even, but the better scoring chances to the Aeros. Bill Bowler makes a great pass to Mark Freer. Mark Freer just getting it on the net, going 5-hole on Razico. Very good play.
Let's take a look at the high-low scoring summary brought to you by High-Low Auto Supply. Mark Freer, his 9th of the year at 1840 from Simone and Bowler. And the Aeros with a 1-0 lead. When we return from Kemp Arena, we'll have a timeout, a news update, and we will have more. Our score, it's the Kansas City Blades trailing this one 1-0. We'll be back. First intermission from Kemper Arena. Welcome back. The Aeros leading the Kansas City Blades by a score of 1-0. And Troy Gamble, you know, time to bring on another session of our Eye on the Eye. And, you know, the IHL got off to a little bit of a slow start this year as far as attendance goes. There were 2 teams that were on fire, and that was Quebec and Grand Rapids. But after a slow start, the IHL has rebounded and has been terrific as far as at the gate.
Well, it really seems around the Christmas time, the IHL really picks up in the attendance category, and that has happened once again. Once you get over the football season, the high school football season, and all the other seasons, hockey really takes over.
Yeah, Quebec obviously leading the league, but it has been the work of Grand Rapids, who has sold out. I don't know the number of sellouts, but obviously they're average just below the sellout standard of 10,843. And speaking of Grand Rapids, coming up in February, in fact, the week of the 17th, it'll be the IHL All-Star Game, and it's going to be a lot of fun going out there and seeing some All-Stars. The Aeros with 6 representatives on the ballot, and one of the guys I think that's got to be a shoo-in in goal would be Freddie Chabot.
Well, Freddie Chabot will be in the All-Star game for sure, Adam. There's no doubt that he has to be there. And I think you're going to see a couple of his defensemen go there also, Adam. You cannot have the second best goals against in the league and not have some defensemen on that hockey team.
And you have your chance to vote for your IHL favorite. You can do it at the Summit, and just pick up an IHL ballot from the Summit. It is brought to you by Days Inn, and we can ask you to vote as much as possible. And these are what they look like. These are great little brochures that you can pick up and sign up for your favorite Aeros. And as we mentioned, 6 of them on the ballot. And if it's not just Freddie Chabot, some of his defensemen should be accommodated as well.
Well, they really should be, Adam. You look at the Aeros hockey team, and they've started a little slow, but they had that big winning streak, and it was because of defense. And maybe you'll see a few forwards. You know, you have Al Conroy, Gary Shuchuk, who's injured, though, so cannot play, obviously. Guy LaRose, so hopefully we'll have a few Aeros on that hockey team.
All right, 1-0. The Aeros lead it. When return, we will look at the highlights. And you know who has returned? Elvis has returned. 20 of them. We'll be back. Hey, Timmy, this would be a nice transition talking about why there's so much. The Aeros leading the Kansas City Blades in the first intermission. Welcome back, Kemper Arena. Adam Gordon, Troy Gamble, and you made the point in that first period that it looked like it was kind of a replay from the New Year's Eve game, and realistically, both teams came out, had some quality scoring opportunities. We saw some good defense, some good goaltending, and I think this is just going to carry right through the entire hockey game.
Well, it should, Adam. These teams always play very well against each other, and tonight is no different. Both teams playing very, very solid.
And the Kansas City Blades knew coming into this hockey game they were going to need some quality net mining from Andre Rasico, and he provided the excitement in the first period.
Well, here he makes a very good save on Carl Valmont, but it was the traffic in front. Mark Freer, Graham Townsend. That's how Dave Tippett believes he's going to score on Andre Rasico. But look at the four-way passing play. Steve Simone puts it down to Bill Bowler. Bill Bowler on his backhand feeds a bullet pass to Mark Freer, who ends up going 5-hole. And that is a four-way passing play. But it's the shot of Mark Freer. As he shoots it, he gets whacked by David Bruce, gives a little bit of a knuckleball effect, and just fools Andre Rasico.
Time to look at the Aeros logbook, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Shots on goal 13-9 in favor of the Aeros. The Aeros had the only power play. They're 0 for 1. Aeros with a 2 face-off advantage. Obviously, the Aeros with no penalty minutes. The Kansas City Blades 1 penalty for 2 minutes. I really thought that a lot of emotion would spill into this hockey game. Both teams trying to snap losing skids. And obviously, one thing that has been a constant for the Aeros, and we've touched upon the offensive problems and the defensive success, but I think people have forgotten. I think Freddie Chabot is still right at where he was at during that 11-game winning streak.
Well, he's played no different, Adam. He's played very well. Even though he hasn't been winning the games, it's because they haven't been scoring the goals. He's still keeping the goals against around the 2.5 area, even though they've been 1-5-1 in their last 6 games. So he's been doing his job. The Aeros getting that first goal, I think, is a real big key tonight.
Yeah, it really relieves a lot of the pressure for them, and hopefully it will carry throughout the hockey game. For the Kansas City Blades, this is a team that has been baffled by injury this year. They haven't even had their full complement. They've been without J.F. Contain the entire year. If they can get him back, a healthy Gary Emmons, Brian Stacey, I think the Blades are going to make a run for things.
Well, talking with Doug Sotard, he believes it's goaltending also. He thinks that his forwards get a lot of chances, but they're not putting the puck in the net. And you mentioned a few key guys there, J.F. Contain. Once he gets back in the lineup, he's going to add a lot of scoring punch, and this Blade team will start to be a deadly Blade team once again.
All right, the Aeros with a 1-0 lead in the first intermission, and when we return, we will have second period action for you. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Kemper Arena. Just about ready to start second period action. The Aeros with a 1-0 lead. Anybody there you recognize, Troy?
Well, you know what? Is that guy your brother over there? No.
Now there is the ultimate Elvis.
The King of Kings?
The previous shot with all those white Elvises right there, yeah. Now those guys were all part of 20 Elvises they brought in. You throw in what we just saw, that guy that won with another 3. There is in the neighborhood of 25 Elvises, and I must say, Troy Gamble, you must be very honored just to be in the presence of greatness.
Well, you know, back in my younger days, about 3 years ago, I grew the Elvis chops for 3 months. They were a little bit of a famous thing around the IHL, but I got bugged enough by fans, I had to take them off.
Time to look at our Columbia Community Calendar, brought to you by Columbia Healthcare. January 11th, it's Columbia AeroCare 97. 18 Houston Charity Interactive booths will be on the Summit Concourse. Entertainment will be provided by Dr. Hook and The Medicine Show. While the Chicago Wolves are in town, and look forward to having everybody on at the Summit for that big weekend with the Aeros and the Chicago Wolves.
And I owe an apology. Steve Jakes, he had to correct me, Adam. Last game I was talking about summer jobs and jobs, and Steve Jakes used to sell pop in his locker room. I said he would buy for 15 cents, sell for 25 cents. Well, he watched the game tape and he was upset because he said he bought it for 25 cents, sold it for 50 cents. He said, "Do you think I'm going to sell pop for a 10-cent profit?" He said, I got to get a quarter profit out of it. Then he said the reason he went out of business wasn't because guys were not paying, it's because of the Sackburn scare. About 5 years, well, it would be more than 5 years ago. It would have been about 8 years ago. The Sackburn scare put him out of business.
You know, a lot of people have been wondering about Freddie Chabot in comparison to last season. You look at last year's numbers, 23-9-4. That was his entire regular season numbers. 2.46 goals against average, 92.1 save percentage. Compare those with this year's numbers, and this is obviously coming into tonight's game. 19-15-2, a 2.59 goals against average, 91.2 save percentage. What does that mean? All right, well, 4 fewer wins than last year. 13 hundredths of a percentage point less in goals against. In other words, he's allowed more, I should say. And 91.2 save percentage is actually 9/10 of a percentage point less of a save percentage. So not far off from last year is what I'm trying to say.
And I need to add one more thing. He had a scorer, Dave Tomlinson, who would score 50 goals.
Dave Morissette, and good to have him back in the lineup. The Aeros were worried about not having enough to go tonight, and although he's got the one goal, what he has brought in is a lot of emotional leadership, and hopefully keep the Aeros on the right track. We send it down to the Aeros bench, and Rob Dobson and Dauber. That's got to be one of the better periods Dave Tippett's seen in a while for his guys.
Well, Adam, for the first time in a while, there hasn't been anything said in between periods. The only thing that was said is that we're going to keep going the same way. The only thing is we're going in a different direction, which is good. You know, we did all the little things right, and I wanted to mention something at the end of the first period. We ran out of time. You know, that goal is a good example of the defense being confident enough to stay up at the line and keep the puck in, and just solid work all around. Cycling down low and creating chances, and finally getting somebody going to the net, and that's a real positive for this hockey club.
And Dauber, nice to get Mark Freer going again here.
You know, it is, and I know being around him for 3 years, he's been a little snake bit and frustrated as everybody else has, so it's a confidence boost for everybody.
Thank you very much, Dauber. Here's a puck that is controlled by Valasevic, and the Aeros come out at center, leading 1-0 as we're just underway with the second period. Jimmy Kite in his own end, bumped by Alme. Valasevic digs it out. And here is Dean Sylvester, and he'll scoot it out this center ice. Ewan across the line with Cerrone. Dropped it back. Sylvester a little bit behind him. The puck came to center, but Sylvester is there. He's got to wait for Cerrone to get back up, and Cerrone a little slow to get up. Jim Kite. Roll it ahead, looking for Ewan. Kite had to go back and play it once again. Jim Kite swings it to Dean Ewan. He's tied up by Jakes. Hurlbutt goes back, fires it off the glass, and to center. Ewan run into by Valasevic. That's something you don't see much. Dean Ewan getting run to the ice, and I'm sure he took the number of that Mack truck.
Great hit by Rob Valasevic, catching Dean Ewan with his head down.
Now it is Hurlbutt. He'll shoot the puck in. Rasico, realizing it may be an icing call, he'll let Herter play it, and indeed they'll bring the face-off back down into the Aero end. And a moment ago, Rob Valasevic into Dean Ewan.
Well, Dean Ewan was trying to pick the puck up in his feet, and as he was doing that, he was looking down. Rob Valasevic came in with a solid, clean body check.
Well, and as we mentioned, I'm sure Dean Ewan took the number of that, and he'll look to maybe re-instigate things the way he likes to.
Yeah, but the one thing about Dean Ewan is he's not a dirty player. I think he'll realize that he was picking that puck up. It was a clean hit.
Oh, yeah.
So he might go back up after Rob Valasevic, but in a clean manner.
Yeah, let me clarify what I mean by that. Is just once a guy gets knocked down, he usually kind of gives him a little adrenaline surge to go find someone else to hit.
Well, a lot of players take numbers.
Puck is shot up over the glass and out of play. They say it went off a blade, so they'll bring the face-off back out to center ice.
And I like what Dave Tippett has already done this period, Adam. He came back out with that physical line. Al May, Valasevic. He wanted Mike Yeo. He wanted to go physical tonight with his forwards, and he's went back to it at the start of the second period in that physical manner.
Rosefort in behind his net. And he'll shoot the puck ahead for Herter. Here come the blades to center. And it's turned around by Al Conroy across the line for Lamb. Getting set, he shoots right on. And the save made by Rasico. Cleared to the boards. And up ice for David Bruce. Heading in after Basilio in a foot race. Who will get there? Well, Basilio will get there. He will touch it. And icing is the call with just about 2 minutes gone in the second period. 1-0 Kansas City, or 1-0 Aeros. And let's send it down to the bench. And Rob Dobson. And Dauber, what is your thought on the new line of Valasevic, Yeo, and May?
Well, I think it adds a different look at them. You know, there's 4 guys with the addition of Moose on there. At the odd time, it's going to add some banging out there. And what that's going to do is going to create a lot of opportunities. It's going to make the defense start to think about what's going on out there. I think the last couple of games we've gotten away from that, pressure in the D and creating opportunities and really making them pay the price for getting the puck in the corner. And we've been a little soft in there, as Dave has mentioned, you know, before. And this is a new look, and it's a new addition, and it's kind of fun to watch because they're going to work hard, and that's their job since the beginning of the period, in the beginning of the game, to get out there and really create opportunities and bang people around.
Thanks, Dauber. Ferschweiler has the puck, and I think Dave Tippett has found himself another combination that's going to last for a while. Depending to stay healthy. Every time he finds something that clicks, it gets unhealthy. Look at the line of Mark Lamb and Mark Gregg, and at one point it was Guy LaRose, and then at another point he tried Mark Gregg on that line. Or Valasevic as well. I mean, he's bounced guys around.
And we'll have the pleasure in the second period, intermission, to talk to Mark Gregg, who's sitting out with that ankle injury.
Puck is out at center ice, and here comes Ian Boyce. Lead pass broken up by Freer, but he gave it right back to Boyce, and he is just drilled by Hurlbut. Big hit along the boards. No question how physical the Aeros are playing tonight. Both teams. Here is Freer across the line. Nice pass. Simone shooting. Save is made by Rasico. A left pad save, and then Simone roll going down to the ice, and then another collision as Ian Boyce rode Freer along the end wall.
Ian Boyce, who I believe is a big key to that Blade hockey team. Plays with a lot of heart and desire, and so does Steve Simone, who can shoot the puck. He has a big shot. This one almost squeaks in. 5-hole on Andre Rasico, and I don't know, hopefully we'll have a chance to ask Rob Dobson if that is the scouting report, because the first shot went 5-hole also on Andre Rasico.
Steve Simone had a great goal. His first goal as a Houston Aero. You might recall that great goal against Alan Bester, the Orlando Solar Bears. And that was the goal that kind of propelled the Aeros back into that game. You might recall they were trailing 4-1. That goal made it 4-2.
It was a huge goal, and it was from that big shot of Steve Simone.
Tight going back for Kansas City. And the Aeros get it right back at neutral ice for Alan May. He's out there with Valasevic and Yo. Lead pass chipped in. Valasevic giving chase. He's got Yo cutting to the net. Centered. The shot went wide. Yo got a stick on it. Battling in the corner with Paul Dick. Now Valasevic cuts it back to Al May. Hands it to Yo. Cutting in. A shot deflected. Batted down by Kite. A bouncing puck that was corralled. And the Blades couldn't clear it. Rasico whacks it along the near side. Culleton went to the boards. Valasevic tried to dig it up, but here is Jim Kite. He'll shovel that ahead. And it's Dean Sylvester to center. Trying to get through Basigio. And Paul Dick will roll it in as Sylvester and Basigio getting locked up right in front of the Blade bench. Jakes. He'll shoot one in, and a right pad save made by Rasico. Turned around by Rochefort. Lead pass ahead for David Bruce. Hits the line with Purvis. Bruce moving in. He tried to center, and he lost the puck. And the puck going out of play, and we take a timeout. 16:10 to go in the second period, and the Aeros with a 1-goal lead.
Houston 1, Kansas City nothing, and let's send it down to Rob Dobson. Rob, what is the scouting report on Andre Rasico?
Well, Troy, you look to him, and you and I both know from playing against the so-called French-style goaltenders in the past, is he's going to butterfly. He's easy to beat through the 5-hole. I think we've tried him there a couple times tonight. And most importantly, on the other part, is that he's coming off a game in San Antonio that they're not very happy with. So we thought if we come out early and get a few good chances on him, get some goals, they'll give up again. So it's just a matter of being patient, letting them go down, and either shooting it over his shoulder or through the 5-hole.
Thank you. Here's a shot by Rowanka wide of the net. John Purvis will gather it in and roll it out to center ice and back into Aero territory. Rowanka is there to play, and this is an icing call on the Kansas City Blades with 4.5 gone in the second period, and a 1-0 Aero lead. Ticketmaster now offers you another convenient way to purchase Aeros tickets. Ticketmaster Online, located at www.ticketmaster.com, offers advanced ticket sales to all your favorite events, like all the Aeros games at the Summit. So go online to register and win tickets in the Great Texas Roundup.
Good look at Darcy Warenka, who in his last 9 games is 5-3 for 8 points. The difference there is in his first 23, he went 2-3-5. He's really found his game in the last 2-3 weeks.
We touched upon it briefly last night about how much he really enjoys playing with Mark Lamb.
Well, he likes getting those soft passes because he has that big one-time shot.
Shot from the point, deflected away, and Jeff McLean will go back. Jeff McLean has been a bit of an enigma, I think, for the Blades. This guy possesses a lot of talent, a lot of speed, but just not having a very good year. Speak of it, he breaks out the center pass for Boyce, chipped away. Boyce, hammered by Rowanka. Here's Frischweiler trying to center one, taken back by Lamb. Here's a chance, Boyce center one, and a shot right on, and a right pad save made by Chabot. Rochefort the drive, and he hooked it wide. Jammed right down, Frischweiler digging for it. Good chance there for the Blades, but it's right back out at center.
Blades defense showing a little offensive jumping in, making a very good shot on Frederick Chabot, who had to be very sharp.
Boyce ahead from McLean, right in, but Bowler was right there. Pinching, here's Scrimmin the drive, and he whistled a bullet wide of the net. Here come the Aeros. Freer, who has the arrow goal, dropped it back. Bowler, the shot, stop. Rastico, rebound. Freer shoots. What a save by Rastico. The rebound, and it was just shot wide by Graham Townsend as he centered it through the crease. 3 marvelous chances there. Blades shoot it in, and the Aeros are back. Townsend for Bowler across the line, looking in front. Here's Bowler, tossed it back. The drive by Valamont, right on. Loose puck, they battle for it in the slot, and it's loosened up by Claudio Scremin, and he'll shoot it to center ice. Across the line, Sylvester, but it's cleared back to center, and the Blades go back with 6 minutes gone, second period of the Aeros. A 1-0 lead. And a hand pass being whistled by the Kansas City Blades.
And Andre Rastico being very sharp in the goal for the Blades. You know, Bill Bowler, Mark Freer, and Graham Townsend working very well together. It's the old give and go. He gives it back to Bill Bowler. Bill Bowler's just putting it on the net. Look at Mark Freer. They're good save. Then Graham Townsend, it goes all the way through the goal crease. I don't know how that doesn't hit a leg and go off a blade. Goes through 2 Blades defensemen, goes between their legs. I guess the scouting report on the Blades is 5-hole also.
18-11, the Aeros out shooting. Kansas City. Craigwell got it in Aero territory. And back is Steve Jakes. Jim Kite had it knocked away, and it's Mike Yeo across the line. The drive, Rastico, the save. Big shot from Mike Yeo, and Andre Rastico makes the save. And he will hold on. You know, an interesting story about Rastico and the net minding for the Kansas City Blades. And I think Doug Sotart summed it up really well by saying that it was the goaltending that got him into trouble, because the team felt they would give up soft goals and then get themselves down because they would outwork teams. You know, the 9-5 loss against San Antonio, as you look at Yeo with a shot that Rastico handled, but it was the 9-5 loss. Believe it or not, the Blades outworked the San Antonio Dragons in that game, according to Kansas City.
Well, both Don Jackson and Doug Sotart said that they felt their goaltenders were giving up soft goals, and as soon as that happened, the heads on the bench went down. And when that's going on, it's tough to win hockey games.
Chabot rolled it for Yeo, popped it to center, and Al May going in after it. Kite trying to get there first. Up by Al May. Here is Yeo. Here come the Blades to center. John Purvis been playing some terrific hockey as of late. His pass though went behind David Bruce. Aeros trying to advance it. Yeo's got a chance, but it was swept away by Paul Dick. Yeo giving chase to the corner. Give it to Valasevic. He's got May in the slot. Can't get it to him, so May will give chase to Jim Kite. Aeros have it. Here's Basigio. Right in the shot. And Rastico makes the save. What a play by Basigio, but a great save by Rastico. 12:48 to go in the second. Aeros 1-0.
Houston 1, Kansas City 0. Good look at John Purvis, who, Adam, you were talking about in his last 8 games. 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points. Last week, just scoring his 250th career professional goal. You have to watch out for him when he gets that puck on his stick, and he scored a beautiful goal last New Year's in here.
Face off in the circle to the right side of Andre Rastico. Off the draw, bad pass, intercepted, and here come the Blades, 3-on-2. Purvis across the line, Purvis in center, but it was played beautifully by Carl Valamont. I think that's the first outnumbered rush we've seen against the Aeros tonight. Rochefort back in his own end. Conroy's got him wrapped up, but Jason Herter takes over for Kansas City. Lead pass ahead for Craigwell. Trying to get by the check of Basigio. He dropped it back for Bruce. David Bruce turns back to the point. Hooked it down for Craigwell. Craigwell trying to shake off a check. He centered one. I don't know. Chabot was leaning on that one. That came out dangerously in front.
Well, he likes to throw his stick around.
Here's a takeaway for LaRose. He moves in and Herter rides him out beautifully. A nice defensive play by Jason Herter to corral Guy LaRose. Puck is shot the length of the ice. This is an icing call as Valamont goes back with 11:53 to go in the second period. A 1-0 Aero lead.
Guy LaRose, who, well, had that huge goal in here the last time, has 23 points on the year. The one thing people wonder why the Aeros can't score well. He averages 31 goals in his first 8 years pro. He's one of the guys that the Aeros are counting on to score.
I know we keep saying this, but you can't reiterate enough. I just want to see the guy shoot and score an easy one instead of these spectacular ones he's been getting. Just a simple shoot and score.
Well, that was the turning point in the last win that the Aeros had.
How good was that? Goes a shot, score! 8-ball corner pocket for Bill Bowler. He banked one off Rasico, and that's one of the soft goals I think that the Blades have been concerned about, and the Aeros take a 2-0 lead.
Just as you said that, Adam, I looked over at the Blades bench, and there was about 10 heads that bowed down and said, oh, here we go again. And Don Jackson, I think he was one of the guys putting his head down.
And those are the 4 words that they've been reiterating. Here we go again. Seems like every time a soft goal comes on him.
And Bill Bowler jumps on the loose puck and just throws it on the net. Andre Rasico, not set in his stance, ends up going 5-hole. Scouting report Rob Dobson gave on Andre Rasico is working.
Here's a chance, though. Boyce stuffed one in there. Shabbat will glove it, and he will hold on with 11:34 to go in the second. 2-0. The Aeros lead it.
And it's just kind of a messed up play. Bill Bowler just goes to the net. None of the Blades pick him up. He just throws it on the net. And what I mean by goalie being in his stance, he wants to keep his knees bent, stick on the ice. Rasico standing up straight. That allows the puck to go in 5-hole. So both goals going 5-hole on Rasico. That has to be the proper scouting report.
And good to see Bill Bowler getting on the board. His first goal in 10 games. Aeros need that, and so does Bill Bowler.
Well, he's played very well tonight, and I think he's likely smarting because he likely knows he's going to miss a few games over that match penalty last night in Las Vegas.
Puck is shot down the ice, and Drew Palmer going back. That will be an icing call as they bring the faceoff back down into Aero territory.
Bill Bowler, who had that cross-check last night to Robert Desmay. The league is reviewing the tape right now. I think that the league is starting to set a precedent, though, over match penalties like that. Look at Guy LaRose, the slash on Kerry Clark. He had to miss all the games against Orlando. I think there's going to be some type of suspension of where he might miss a couple games against Las Vegas.
And in some ways, I guess it kind of protects these players, too, because, you know, retaliation sometimes is in the mind of a lot of these guys.
Well, I don't think Bill Bowler would like to have Rhett Trombley chasing him around that Thomas and Mack Center.
I can't think of too many people that would as a shot through traffic. Blocked. I don't think it made it to Shabbat. And Freer flicks it to center. Townsend giving chase. Graham Townsend trying to move in. He is bumped by Palmer. Sylvester takes away. Oh, bad pass. Intercepted the shot. Stopped by Rasico. Oh, a bad turnover by the Blades, and the Aeros nearly made him pay for it. Here come the Blades. Sylvester. Lead pass, and it goes back in. In all fairness, that's a nice save by Rasico. He needed that. Here's a puck that is shot wide by Scremin after a soft goal from Andre Rasico to make a big save on Bill Bowler like that.
Well, he does have a lot of experience. He's a veteran goaltender. You can likely look for him to battle back.
Pass at center, and the Aeros get it right back, leading 2-0 with 10.5 to play in the second period. Craigwell. Bring it across the line. Craigwell trying to look in. He is bumped by Werwinka. Craigwell popped it loose. Purvis trying to center one. That's chipped away. Purvis shook it loose. Cutting behind now. Purvis centered one. It hit David Bruce in the skates. Here's Werwinka. He will turn and shoot that the length of the ice. And that will be an icing call as Paul Dick will go back. And a faceoff brought back into Aero territory with 9:56 to go in the second period. 2-0, the Aeros lead it.
And Adam, tonight the Aeros forecheck, I believe, has been the key to them having early success in this hockey game, is that their forecheck has been very aggressive, very physical, causing the Blades defense to cough up pucks like that now.
And Al Conroy, a big reason. You talk about forecheckers, and Al Conroy does it as well as anybody.
Well, he's so quick. He's not a big guy, but he's strong, and he gets in there with all his speed, causes people to make mistakes.
Last 16 games, some impressive numbers. That's the thing. If you take it back over recently, yeah, the offensive woes are there. But if you go back another 8 games in addition, there's some impressive numbers for a lot of guys, and Al Conroy, one of them. Al Conway has the puck at center, but lost it, and it's picked up by McLean. Jumped on by Boyce, but he had it roll off his stick, couldn't get a chance. Chip to the corner for Aeros. Fired it along the boards. It's back out at center and into Kansas City territory as Herter is back. Conroy into forecheck, takes it hard to the boards, and here's a lead pass. That should be a two-line pass, I would think. As Sylvester was in, they say no, and here's a shot. Stopped by Shabbat. I thought it was a two-line pass. But the play was good, and a good save from Shabbat. Now Rochefort steered it down low. Mark Lamb jumps on it, and it's cleared the length of the ice. Just couldn't quite find Al May. Rochefort's got a hustle. Can he get there? Yes, and that'll be an icing call. With 9 minutes to go, second period, Aeros with a 2-goal lead. 2-0, the Aeros lead it. And a moment ago, we thought there was a two-line pass from the Kansas City Blades. No, this is just heads-up play by Ian Boyce.
Well, it could have been a high stick on LaRose, but then it hits Boyce in the head. That nullifies the high stick. That gives Sylvester time to go in on a breakaway. Frederick Shabbat on the top of his crease going down, takes it off his left shoulder.
So a great call by the linesman. That's not the easiest to call.
And they were looking at each other, wondering, well, what about the call? What about the call? And they did the right thing. They made no call.
Off the draw, Blades have it. Drew Palmer, long shot, wide of the net. Big collision as Cerrone was checked down by by Valasevic. Hurlbut's got his man tied up behind the cage. Here is Valasevic. He'll roll it along the boards, but he was hammered by Cerrone. Here's Mike Hurlbut. He'll fire it up and out at center ice.
I think Rob Valasevic's a little shook up over that hit.
Cerrone sized up by Valasevic, and here's a centering pass knocked away, and lead pass into the Kansas City zone. Valasevic moves in. He's got Yo cutting to the net. He centered one, but Yo couldn't quite get there. The Blades out at center. Sylvester across the line. Centered one. Missed Palmer with a pass. And Valasevic will go back to play it. Lead pass just missing Yo. And Kansas City takes over with 8 minutes to go in the second. 2-0 in Houston.
And the Aeros are so strong in games like this, Adam, because of their solid defensive play. They just will not give out man situations now.
Puck goes in, and Freddie Shabbat will cover up, and he will hold on.
Freddie Shabbat, who's played all 4 games against the Kansas City Blades. He's 3-1. One of the reasons why the Aeros have had success against Kansas City.
The Aeros have been waiting all season for Freddie to pay his dividends, and we've touched upon how he mentioned that slow start. He's had his off game here and there since the 11-game winning streak, but overall, I think he got through those first 10 or so games, the doldrums there, and not even close to being the concern at all for the Aeros. They basically, I would say, if they could get themselves a bona fide goal scorer, we talked about this a little bit last night, they've got a lot of playmakers. They need a guy that simply goes out there and just puts the puck in the net.
We were saying it's not a 50-goal guy. If they get a 40-goal guy, he'll likely score 50 or 60 with the playmakers the Aeros have.
Another key would also be what you talked about in the Gamble game plan. That's just capitalize on your opportunities, get the puck on goal. Blades shoot the puck into Aeros territory with 7:10 to play in the second. A 2-0 Houston lead. And Bill Bowler, who has one of the 2 goals, will break out with it. Bowler then circled back and ran into Carl Valamont, but stays with the puck. Makes everybody a little nervous when he does that. He's a good stick handler. There's no doubt about it, but they just get it up forward, north-south, if you will.
And the Blades have gone into a 1-2-2 forecheck. A little unusual when you're down by 2 goals.
Definitely a forecheck that hard to use when you're ahead. And here's Jakes, who rolls the puck in. Lassico comes out of the net to swing it along the boards for Jim Kite. Bowler pinching. And it's controlled by Paul Dick. Knocked down again by Bowler. He was hauled down partially by David Bruce. And it's cleared to center ice for Darcy Werwanka. 6:15 to go. Second period. 2-0 Houston. Mark Lamb digs out a loose puck along the boards. Ripped it along the wall. And it's cleared out at center ice. Puck goes down. And icing is the call as Mike Hurlbut goes back. Don't miss the Harlem Globetrotters at the Summit, January the 24th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets and the Summit box office. Last year's game sold out, so buy your tickets early. For group discounts, contact the Summit or the Houston Aeros Group Sales Department.
And Don Jackson, their coach, going into that 1-2-2 forecheck. I think the reason why he's doing it, Adam, is that if the Aeros are not careful, that's how you give out outman situations. They try to clog up the neutral zone and then make outman situations through that.
Quickly, Troy, you know, in basketball, a coach can call a timeout and change his defensive scheme. In hockey, how tough is it on the bench to say, okay, we're going from our 2-3-4 check or our one-man into a 1-2-2. As a shot comes on, Rasico stopped it.
Well, it's pretty tough because there's so much emotion on the bench, but good coaches can relay that to their players.
And they've been trained. They just know, hey, if you say, let's go to the 1-2-2, they know what they have to do. Frischweiler has it in behind the net. And it's cleared to center ice for McLean. Give it to Jason Herter. Pass knocked down. McLean looks in front. He centered, blocked by Chabot. Back to the line. Rochefort. Drive is cleared by Hurlbut. And out the center. Here come the Aeros. Hurlbut, left side. Dropped it, Lamb. He's in. He shoots. Rasico the save, and he was unloaded on by Steve Jakes. Or make that Hurlbut that clipped him. And a penalty coming up to the Houston Aeros. Or is it to the... We get a whistle here. This might be to the Blades. Let's take a timeout and we'll sort everything out. 5:09 to go in the second. And a 2-0 Aero lead.
Houston leading the Kansas City Blades 2-0. Mike Hurlbut sitting in the penalty box for interference. He was cutting in front of Rasico. Jason Herter is riding him out. That's a tough call to make. I don't think that's interference, but the referee thought so?
It could go either way.
Yeah.
Could go either way.
And I think that's why we weren't quite sure which way it was going.
Well, they originally announced Rasico.
Yeah.
So the Blades get their first power play of the night. Their power play, though, dead last in the IHL at 11.1%. The Aeros penalty killing, 5th in the IHL, 4th on the road this year. On the road, they're 85.7%. And they held Las Vegas last night to 1 of 6. Puck is picked up by Jason Herter. Scooped it down, knocked away by Basijo. A one-handed fling, but he couldn't clear it. Here's Herter, a bouncing puck. Scooped it down for Craigwell. Bowler rode over there. Held it at the point by Herter. Nice play. No, he couldn't hold it in, they say, so the Blades have to wait for the Aeros to break out with it.
And the Aeros will take all the time in the world to break out.
And see, that's where I think that offsides call is bogus, because Basijo could just stand there as a shot by Lamb right on.
Well, especially on the penalty kill.
Yeah, you just stand back there and take your time. Purvis. Hold the puck ahead. Cerrone looking in front. Scooped it back. Purvis knocked away by Mark Lamb of the Aeros. He'll go to center. And that's chipped away. Now Lamb takes it away short-handed, 2-on-1 with Conroy. Here's a penalty coming up. Conroy's in alone. Thinking, shooting, saving was Rasico. A marvelous chance. But Mark Lamb hauled down, and a penalty coming up to the Blades, but that's 2 straight nights. Al Conroy's had glorious opportunities, and if it wasn't for stellar net minding, Conroy would have himself a pair of short-handed goals.
And it was the other player, too. It was Mark Lamb, who was getting tripped up, and he made a great play. Well, first he makes a great play by taking the puck away here. Now he's going in. He gets hooked in from behind. Watch his pass. He feeds it over as he's lying down to Al Conroy, who goes in on a breakaway. He just cannot beat Andre Rasico. Claudio Scremin into the penalty box for hooking. Well, you got to say there's been a lot of jump by the Aeros forwards tonight, and also the gap. The gap's been very close tonight because of that physical play.
Face off in the circle to the left side of Andre Rasico, and he's one of the top defensemen you will find in Jim Kite. I know a lot has been made about him being legally deaf in both ears. One of the things he does, first thing he does, comes out on the ice, makes sure the glass is clean. He uses the reflection to read plays. Gets to the rink early, make sure it's clean glass. Here's Kite that jams one in to Aero territory. Jakes goes back, so 2 minutes up on the board to Claudio Scremin, and in 18 seconds the Aeros will be on the power play. Rochefort out of the net. Here come the Blades, 4-on-4 with just another 6 seconds. Jim Kite moving down, tied up by Jakes. They go hard to the corner. Kite centered one. Cerrone popped it away. Hurlbut back out on the ice, and the Aeros on the power play for the second time this evening. They're 0 for 1 on the power play. Valamon, a lead pass. Bowler had to go back and get it at his own line. Bowler through the neutral zone, carries across with Townsend and Freer. Bowler pulls up, he centered one. Here's the shot. Rasico the save on Basigio. Basigio again behind the net, sends it over to Bill Bowler. Bowler turning with 54 seconds to go on the power play. And Basigio dances back to the line, hands it over to Bowler. He's got Townsend in front in a good battle with Herter. Here's Basigio, winding, shooting, saving is Rasico. A great glove save through traffic from Andre Rasico. He'll hold on with 42 seconds left in the penalty to Claudio Scremin. 2.5 to go in the second. 2-0 Houston.
And all the traffic in front of Rasico. Graham Townsend doing a great job. Dave Basigio makes a very good shot. I'm not even quite sure how Andre Rasico saw that puck come from Dave Basigio's stick. Excellent traffic in front of Andre Rasico. Dave Tippett, only when the power play struggles, he loves them to go back to the basic. Simple play. Bill Bowler gives it to Basigio. Basigio puts it on the net.
Off the draw, Basigio's got it. 38 seconds left in the power play. Aeros have it. Here is Freer, and he is bumped along the boards, and a hand pass whistled by Marc Genet, the referee. And they'll bring the faceoff back out to center ice.
Dave Tippett must be very pleased with the effort of his team and the drive to go hard to the net tonight. Excellent job by the Aeros.
Face-off back at center. Bowler with Freer and Townsend. And Bowler ready to take this face-off against Ian Boyce. Puck is shot in. Oh, and Rasico had it play a weird partition in the boards. Rochefort trying to clear it. That is knocked down. And again, Rasico coming out of the net with 20 seconds left in the power play. Puck rolled along, Basigio pinching along the boards. In there was Freer, it's back to line, Townsend to drive. Great save, a left pad save made by Rasico. And here come the Kansas City Blades with under 2 minutes to go in the second. Trailing 2-0. Boyce hit by Basigio. Freer loosens it up. And one of the Blades on top of it was Boyce, but Townsend picks it loose. Bowler placed it high in the air. That will be gloved by Rasico as the Aeros make changes. Ian Boyce at center, wrapped it into Aero territory as Jakes goes back. Jakes to Simone across the line, but it was intercepted by Purvis and cleared. David Bruce at center, across the line, quick shot, wide of the net. After it, Crankwell. Up by Hurlbut, and the Aeros have it. Here is Mike Yeo. Selling it to center. And Yeo moving in with Simone. Here's Yeo, the pass into the skates of Simone. Drop back. There's a shot by May. Great left pad save made by Rasico. He had the one soft goal, Troy, but other than that, I think Rasico's played very well.
Ever since that goal, he's been very, very sharp. He's battled back.
Puck is back along the boards and cleared to center. David Bruce trying to wrap it ahead with 43 seconds left in the period. 2-0 Houston. Pass goes into the bench, and play is whistled down. And let's send it down to the bench and Rob Dobson. Dobber, I got a question for you. Comparing tonight's game with the last several games, has really anything changed from Dave Tippett's standpoint for tonight's game?
No, not really. You know, I think last night we got away from doing the little things that we were doing right when we were playing real well. Tonight we're doing everything. You know, we're keeping the pucks in deep. We're not trying to make fancy plays, and most importantly, we're capitalizing on those couple of opportunities that we did have. You know, last night we didn't. You know, 2 goals was the difference in the game. Tonight we're up and we're doing everything pretty much solid, and just back to the basic things we were doing when we were successful before.
Does a game like this help with the confidence too?
I think it does more in a lot of ways. One, you've got a couple guys scoring goals who hadn't been, who were kind of in a bit of a bind. You know, Mark and Billy Bowler, who are doing very well. And you know, everybody else is just building off that, and that's a real boost for the hockey team.
Thank you, Dauber. 20 seconds to go in the period. Still 2-0 Houston. Here comes Scremin. Fired it in, but LaRose was there. Scremin going back, and he'll clear to center. Culloden, the pass to McLean, chipped away by Valamont. Cullinan trying to work one out in front. Basijo shouldered in there with Ferschweiler. 2 seconds left, and the horn will sound just as a shot came on from Claudio Scremin. But good save there at the end by Frederick Chabot. But the Aeros, as Rob Dobson alluded to, doing everything right.
Well, they're playing physical. They have that gap closed. It's the support, though, Adam, and the work ethic tonight. Every time there's a turnover or loose puck, it's the Aeros jumping on those loose pucks tonight because they are in the proper position, playing a very smart road game.
Time to look at our high-low scoring summary, and it's brought to you by High-Low Auto Supply. What you need is high-low. Bill Bowler, 11th of the year at 8-11, unassisted. Not the greatest of goals for Andre Rasico, but one that Bowler gladly needed. He's given the Aeros a 2-0 lead, and we will have more from Kemper Arena.
Welcome back to Kemper Arena, where your Aeros are leading the Kansas City Blades 2-0, and we are now joined by the injured Mark Gregg. And first off, Mark, what were your thoughts of the first 2 periods?
I think it's been a pretty exciting game thus far. Houston definitely came out with some jump, which after the last game we felt we needed, and so far it's developed pretty good for us.
And that jump that you talk about, it seems that the Aeros forwards are a lot more physical tonight. Is that benefiting them by getting those good scoring chances?
Oh, no question. Anytime you can take the body and eliminate one of their players and beat them back to the net, gives you opportunities to score goals, and it's one of the things we talked about before the game, and so far it's gone pretty well.
The one player that has stood out tonight already is Bill Bowler. He has a goal and an assist. He seems to be making those beautiful passes out there tonight.
Well, if you give Billy time with possession, he's going to make the right play, and it seems to me he's found a lot of different situations out there tonight where he's had some room and some guys that he can find late, and he's found them.
I know that you'd love to be out there tonight, especially when Bill Bowler's passing the puck like that, but you do have that foot injury, and how tough was it last night flying back from Las Vegas with that injury?
Well, it seemed to cause me a lot of problems because the pressure started to develop, and we had it taped up, so we were fighting a lot of pain with that, but the painkillers finally kicked in when we got back on the ground, and I got through the night.
And you went to the hospital today. What were the results out here in Kansas City?
Well, the first x-ray we took obviously was negative. The foot's not broken, but now we're into a situation where what kind of bone bruise is going to develop, and after the first 48 to 72 hours, they can decide whether or not a bone scan's needed to see if there's a stress fracture, and those are the 2 things we're looking at right now.
Did Jerry Mines or anyone give you a timetable on your return?
Well, I think the next 72 hours is going to decide a lot, and after those 3 days, I think we can maybe start to make decisions whether or not we need a bone scan or how long this day-to-day bone bruise will take.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more from Kemper Arena.
The Aeros with a 2-0 lead after 2 periods of play. Welcome back, Adam Gordon, Troy Gamble here in Kemper Arena. A tale of 2 periods, a tale of 2 teams for these hockey clubs, the Aeros and the Blades. Houston Aeros played the period they were exactly looking for. Dave Tippett's got to be pleased, but I think you look at Don Jackson, his team didn't muster a lot of offense, and the few chances they had, Freddie Chabot was there.
Well, Freddie Chabot played very well that period, and the one big chance that they had was Dean Sylvester coming in off the wing. He comes in all alone on a breakaway. Watch the position of Frederick Chabot on the top of his crease. Sylvester has nowhere to go as the Aeros defense are chasing him down. Shoots it up into the chest area of Frederick Chabot. Very good play by Frederick Chabot. Scrambling play. Bill Bowler finds the loose puck. Maybe a little rookie mistake there by Palmer, the defenseman, not picking up Bill Bowler, shooting it on net. Excellent play by him. And Bill Bowler, once again, talk about soft passes, Mark Lamb. Well, Bill Bowler has the soft passes going tonight. Gets it to Dave Basijo, but it's the traffic in front of the net. Graham Townsend had no idea how Andre Rasico picked up the puck, but he found it somehow.
And it takes us to our Aeros logbook, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Shots on goal 29-14. Aeros definitely dominating in that department. Power play, Aeros 0 for 2, Blades 0 for 1. Face-offs, Aeros 24, and the Blades 19. Aeros with a 2-0 lead, and when we return, 3rd period action. We're back right after this.
Time to make a difference is 7 p.m. Saturday, January 11th, when the Houston Aeros take on the Chicago Wolves of the Summit. Family entertainment mixed with 18 booths of information on how you can make a difference. Tickets for Columbia Aero Care 97 are available at all Ticketmaster locations, including the Summit box office, or call 629-3700. Columbia Aero Care 97 and the Houston Aeros. Sports the way it ought to be.
all ready to start the third period from Kemper Arena. The Aeros with a 2-0 lead. And a reminder that Houston Aeros hockey is brought to you in part by Bud Ice, who reminds you to please drink responsibly when you're at the game. Bud Ice, proud sponsors of the IHL. The Aeros, Graham Townsend. Here's a guy that he's hit a little bit of a rut. He's an interesting story. He came out, had 12 points in his first 12 games this year. Was one of the leading scorers. In his last 15, he has just 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. But this is a guy, it's amazing what happens to him. He gets into these funks like this, these 4 points in 15 games. Dave Tippett pulls him aside, maybe benches him for a game, shows him what he's doing, and then the guy goes right back and lights it up again.
And he's been able to do that. He goes in streaks, but it makes me wonder, Adam, maybe about that knee injury, a little slow coming back from that.
Puck is picked up by the Blades. Paul Dick had it stripped away, and Dean Ewan will advance it up the wall. It's out to center ice. Back into Aero territory. Yo going back. He's got Sylvester on his case. Dallas Evatt lets it slide to center and back into Blade territory. And Kansas City looking to turn the puck around. And it's brought along the boards, and Dean Ewan is there. Lead pass up and out at center into the arrow end. Molenka going back. And it's shot out at center and picked up by Basijo. He's had a strong game tonight.
And he's just content there, getting it deep. The Aeros just want to make the Blades come all the way down.
Now the puck is picked up by Kansas City and fired out to center ice.
Make them skate that 200 feet last night. No, there wasn't 200 feet. It was 185 at the Thomas and Mack, but the Kemper Arena is regulation.
Puck going back, and Jason Herter is there. Shoots it all on the boards, and here is David Bruce. Pass missing everybody, and just not clicking tonight offensively for the Blades. And we've seen that before, that they're a team that they have to be sharp. They don't have a lot of firepower, but you know, they can line it up if they can get everybody clicking, but tonight it's just not there. As Bruce, a big drive, and that's wide of the net. Back along the boards, here is Purvis trying to center one. He ran into Bowler, and Simone is there, and he'll shoot it out to center ice. Almost 2 minutes into this third period, 2-0 Houston. David Bruce for Kansas City, a pass out at center, jumped on by Ian Boyce. He could not get it in there, and Steve Simone for the Aeros fired it ahead. Blades making a line change. They had too many men on the ice, but got away with one there. I think Bruce was a little late getting off, and here's McLean cutting in, poked away by Valamont. Sends it back along the boards, and the Aeros come out with a 3-on-2. Bowler with Freer and Simone across the line. Bowler lost it, though, and Scremin trying to clear it. It's out to center ice. 2.5 gone in the third. 2-0 lead for the Aeros. Basijo with a Freer, and the Blades go back for it. Pass intercepted. Here comes Basijo. Rolled it over to Freer. That is offsides, and a play is whistled down. Fans, you can keep your kids out of the hot weather this summer and put them on ice. Sign up for the 3rd annual Houston Aeros Hockey Camp. You can join Graham Townsend, Rob Dobson, and other current and former Aeros as they teach your child the great game of hockey, the way the pros do it. Call the Aeros office at 621-2842 for more information. And we like to check in periodically with Rob Dobson and ask how things are going for the camp, and things progressing right along, I assume?
Yeah, things are going along pretty good. We've done a lot of work to get things organized for the summer, and we're just trying to lock up a little sponsorship money to drop the price for the kids. But I think all in all, we're happy with the progress. Things really don't start getting going until March, so we look forward to a big push then.
Quickly, do you have a price set yet?
Pardon me?
Do you have a price set for the camp yet?
A price? Yes, $325 is the price right now, whether we get a sponsor or not, but we're hoping to make it a lot better for the kids.
Thank you. Well, if you're there, it makes it pretty good itself, you and Graham, and we appreciate all the work that you put into it. Puck is controlled by Kansas City. Here is Andre Rasico, slides it along the boards, and it's back out at center ice. Jakes is there. Cerrone will turn it around. Alan May ripped it toward the Blades blue line, and here come the Kansas City Blades, and Sylvester is shot right on, and that is gloved by Frederick Chabot. 3.5 gone in the third, and a 2-0 Aero lead. And The puck is shot into Kansas City territory. Herter scampers back row, lost an edge, crashed and burned, loosened up by Al Conroy. Trying to reverse it down low. Herter is there, and he'll fire it up ice to center, and here comes David Bruce. Ripped it into the arrow end. That'll go to the near corner, giving chase John Purvis. And the former Fort Wayne Comet and San Francisco Spider had it stripped, and here comes Guy LaRose. Here is Hurlbut. He'll roll it along the boards. Conroy jammed it down, and it's taken by Purvis. Craigwell. A lead pass broken up, and the Aeros come out to center. Mark Lamb. And they'll take it away. Turning along the boards was Purvis. It's bumped to center, and Scremin turning. In across the line, hit by Rowenka, gets it back. Here's the shot by Boyce. Wow! What a save by Shabbat! Perhaps the save of the night, robbing Ian Boyce. An outstanding save by Frederick Shabbat. And it's turned around by the Aeros and shot into Kansas City territory. We've seen some pretty good saves tonight by both goaltenders, but Freddie Shabbat came up with the big one there. Here come the Blades. McLean dropped it back. Boyce, the drive, high and wide of the net. And it's jumped on by Freer. Hit by McLean, rolled it ahead, held in Scremin. It's blocked in front. Turning his first Weiler, lets the shot go right on. Shabbat the save, bang away at the rebound, and Shabbat's on top of that, and we take a break. We're 5 minutes into the third, and the Aeros with a 2-0 lead.
Houston leading the Kansas City Blades 2-0, but some great goaltending by Frederick Shabbat at a key time. Darcy Warenka gets walked around here by Claudio Scremin, and what a play by Frederick Shabbat to deny Boyce on the shot. And after he goes around, Carl Velmont is there for the support. Scremin makes a great pass to Boyce. He cannot beat Frederick Shabbat going from his right to his left. What a tremendous play at a key time in the game.
We mentioned that Ian Boyce sat out New Year's Eve, and that was an integral part that they were missing. And they had as good a chance to win that hockey game as anybody. They led it 1-0 most of the way. So Guy LaRose's heroics. Puck is out at center, and Townsend ripped it in. Rasico slowing behind the net. Bowler trying to dig it out through Scremin. It's picked up by the Blades, and there's Claudio Scremin in the corner. Tied up by Bowler. They battle for the puck. Rasico wanted to play it. Drew Palmer swings it up, and it's down the ice, and Sylvester and Bowler going at it right now. Behind the play, we've got an icing call coming up, and going back is Carl Valamont. 14-13 to go in the third, and a 2-0 Aero lead. And Claudio Scremin, we've touched upon the fact he's a licensed pilot, but in the off-season, he's also involved with refurbishing aircraft. We've touched upon it a couple times. Him and I have thought about going flying when there's a day off either in Houston or Kansas City, and I wasn't aware how good he is really with airplane parts and fixing them and refurbishing them. He's part of a local club.
Well, I guess if you ever ran into some problems, you'd be the guy to go flying with if he can fix airplanes. I wouldn't mind that. And last year, he had a huge year, though, Adam. 6 goals, 47 assists for 53 points. Tremendous year last year. They're a little slow start this year for him, but they're looking for him to pick it up.
Here's Al May in the corner. Balasevic centered one, and that's pushed away. Out at center. Well, trying to bring it in across the line. That's scooped down. Came along the boards. Purvis shouldered by Yo. Frankwell trying to turn a pass he couldn't handle, but there was Purvis. Pushed to the boards by Warenka. Play is tied up now, loosened up by Purvis. Turns centered. Here's a shot. Hit the post. Jimmy Kite trailing the play. Hit the post, and here come the Aeros 3-on-2. Yo got by Purvis. He's in. Turning, centering, and hit a skate of Paul Dick. And the Blades turn it around. 4-on-2. Purvis across the line. Dropped it. Craigwell cutting in. He shoots, and he hit Collin into the skate. Mike Yo at center. And Cullinan goes back in his first game back after missing 3 with a broken nose. He'll shoot it down. And Hurlbut will go back with just about 7 minutes gone in the third period. And the Aeros still with a 2-0 lead. AWS and the Houston Aeros return to the airways Friday night as the Aeros battle the Long Beach Ice Dogs. Aeros will be trying to gain some ground on their Southwest Division foes. Join Troy and I for all the action beginning at 9 o'clock right here on your homes for Houston Aeros hockey, KNWS Channel 51 and KKHT 106.9 FM.
And I think Dave Tippett does not want to see too many of those outman situations. A 4-on-2 coming back at the Aeros defense. The Aeros defense did a very good job, though, of delaying, giving their forwards a chance to get back and help out.
Here's Mark Lamb looking to center one. Dug out by Al Conroy. And it's picked up by Jeff McLean, and the Blades come out with it. Ian Boyce romping to center. He'll fire it into Aero territory. McLean cutting in there. He centered one, a nice pass, but intercepted by Jakes. Boyce hammers Jakes along the boards. Puck is in skates. Boyce trying to dig it out. It's still frozen along the boards, and Mark Genet, the referee, finally blows a play dead. 12.5 to go in this one, and the Aeros with a 2-0 lead. Well, blue suede shoes, jailhouse rock means absolutely nothing. It's the latest song that Elvis Presley has released, the Macarena, right?
Well, they have plenty of them going to it.
I don't think in a million years I could ever imagine Elvis Presley doing the Macarena, let alone 20 of them, but leave it to Kansas City to pull this one off in honor of Elvis Presley's birthday. I believe it was yesterday.
I believe that you are correct.
I better be, because if I don't, I'm sure Mr. Todd Chirac back in the PR office will be sending me a note. It'll be in the next press notes. Get it right. Surprised it wasn't in there anyway. Here come the Aeros out at center, leading 2-0. They'll shoot the puck into the Kansas City zone. And going back is Brent Culloden. Knocked away. Here is Lamb. Turning, he's got LaRose cutting back door. He's in, shoots. What a save by Rosico. An outstretched right pad, saving a beauty. Puck is at center. Culloden trying to muscle his way in there. Mark Lamb going back. He is met by Cerrone. Jumped on by Hurlbut. He'll fire it ahead, and here come the Aeros. Lamb, the neutral ice, hooked down a little bit, and the Blades take over. We're 8 minutes into the third. 2-0. Houston leads it. Bowler, nice move across the line, trying to cut in. And Jason Herter is back. Herter, part of that Turner Cup championship team in Utah.
Along with Al May.
We've got some championship experience with both these teams. We've talked a lot about the Aeros championships, but Jeff Medill, who's a scratch tonight, as we've touched upon, 3 out of 4 years, 1 point he had Turner Cup championships. Here's Ian Boyce. Behind the net for Scremin. A shot found its way to Shabbat, and he will hold on. And this brings up a point. I was looking down with Ian Boyce and Dale Craigwell out there. I was just going to bring up the point that that's one thing that Don Jackson hasn't gone back to. Those two guys, we've seen it this year, that those two guys can dominate a hockey game from just the work ethic end. And we hadn't seen them at all play together tonight. Now, Boyce and Craigwell are together.
Well, they work so well together on the penalty kill that Don Jackson's trying to grasp now, trying to find some way to get a puck past Frederick Shabbat.
It is Basiglio off the draw. And the Aeros move it up. Townsend gets it out to center. Scremin. Pushed out to center ice, and Carl Valamont rolled it ahead, and here comes Graham Townsend. Nice pass, Bowler, 2-on-1 with Freer. Bowler in, turning, shooting, and he tossed it wide. Scremin played that perfectly. He gave Bowler absolutely nowhere to go with it.
And then he forced him at the end of it.
Here's a great pass. Boyce is in, shooting, Sabat saving. They bang away at the rebound. Puck goes in. And right away, Mark Genet says no goal.
I don't know, did the puck ever go in on
it? It did go in, but first of all, the whistle had already sounded. The question is should the whistle have sounded? Big
I'll say yes, being a former goalie. I always loved it when that quick whistle happened. Well, Boyce gets around. Dave Basiglio drives hard to the net, goes flying into Frederick Shabbat. Now you're talking about Boyce and Craigwell. It's Craigwell that comes in late. Let's see that puck. Well, you know what? It went off his skate also.
Yeah, but inadvertent, that's the new rule now. If it's inadvertent, it's a goal.
Well, what about him being in the crease with the skate?
That, yes.
Came off his skate in the crease. Well, the whistle head went, though.
That's the new rule in hockey, is if you're inadvertently put one off a skate, it is a goal. If you deliberately try to kick it, then it is waved no goal. But again, there's that line of Craigwell and Boyce doing the job. And
well, you almost sound like a Swami. Before they came out on the ice, you were wondering, Don Jackson, why he has not put them together. All of a sudden he does, and he creates some offense.
Well, I attribute all my success of being a Swami to Rob Dobson. He's taught me everything he knows.
He does have the game down pat.
That's why we like to check in with him from time to time. Here's Jim Kite, though. Off the draw, rolled it down. In behind the net, loosen up, called it a shot by Purvis. Hit the post there. I think it hit the side of the net instead of the post, but he did find some iron. Culloden trying to work it down. Conroy had it dug out. Here is McLean, watched by Warwenka. He centered one. Shabbat was there, and it's blasted away by Hurlbut and right back down the ice. I'll tell you what, you got to give the Blades credit. Here's an icing call coming up as Paul Dick is back. But I give Kansas City a lot of credit as they're clawing their way, trying to get back into this hockey game. As now Al May is pushing and shoving a little bit with Jim Kite. Well, how close was it, a goal or a no goal for Craigwell? Let your ears do the talking.
Well, that looks like it's a good break for the Aeros there now, as that puck had went in before the whistle on that replay. An excellent break for Dave Tippett and his Houston Aero hockey team. And the one thing, Adam, the Kansas City Blades have turned it up a notch in the last 3-4 minutes. Dave Tippett's going to have to rally his troops, settle them down for the last 10 minutes so that they can come out of Kemper Arena with the 2 points.
Mark Chenet, the referee, his explanation for the no goal was it went in after the whistle. So back out is Ian Boyce with Dale Craigwell. And a face-off to the right side of Frederick Shabbat. Mark Lamb with Guy LaRose and Al Conroy. And I guess the question now is, you look at the lines that Dave Tippett has found. Here's a shot. We'll sort this out in a second as the puck resting on the net. And we finally get a whistle. But the line combinations, Troy, that Dave Tippett has found. We touched upon the Valasevic line with Yo and May. And you've got Conroy, Lamb, and LaRose. Obviously sticking with him. Has he found something he can go with for a while here?
Well, especially that hard-working line will really work out well. And it really looks like Mark Lamb has made some great passes to Guy LaRose and Al Conroy. So that's another line that has great possibilities for Dave Tippett.
Freer and Bowler are your goal-getters tonight. Freer back in the first and Bowler in the second. Here's Norman Rochefort for Kansas City. He will head in behind the net and look to lug the puck up ice. We're at the halfway point of the third period, and the Blades got to think about getting one. They thought they had one a moment ago, but they still trailed 2-0.
And this is where the Aeros are so tough, Adam, leading going into the third period. They're 14-2. They're just tough to get good quality scoring chances against.
And a great glove save by Rob Dobson on the bench as that puck goes out of play. Well, how would you like to win $1 million? I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Diamond Cutters International presents the $1 Million Puck Shot Contest. You could be the lucky winner of a chance to take a shot on goal at a Houston Aeros home game. If you make the shot, you'll be taking home a puck made out of diamonds and emeralds worth $1 million. Your next chance to win is Friday, January the 17th. 9:40 to go in the third, and look at the Aeros bench. And a moment ago, a puck that went out of play, and
cat-like reflexes from Rob Dobson.
Well, he's getting ready for Saturday. I think he is slated to play either Saturday or Sunday against the Chicago Wolves. Here is Bill Bowler across the line. Looks in front, he centered one. Here's a centering pass again. It went to Townsend, then slipped it to Freer, and it's cleared out the center. Jeff McLean giving chase. McLean moving down, right wing boards, looks in front, he centered one. Jake's got a skate on it. Here's Culloden in the center one. The shot by Scrummon, hit a skate again in front. And it's pushed by the Aeros and out to center. Blades have had some chances in this third period, especially in the last 5 minutes or so.
And what the Aeros are doing, though, Adam, they'll give them the far out shots. There, the Aeros had 5 players in front of the net collapsing.
Purvis rolls it in. Out of the net, Shabbat. Yo trying to clear. He's wrapped up by Scrimmin, tossed down to the ice. Picked up by Basigio. He'll rip it along the boards and picked up by Valasevic and shot the length of the ice. Icing if Kite gets there. Al May on his horse, getting in there to battle. Loose puck, who wants it? Blades had it. They waved off the icing though. Basigio, bumped by Krigwell, at the center, and Valasevic is back. Rob Valasevic hands it over to Valamon as the Aeros bust out with it with 8:20 to go in the third, leading 2-0. Valasevic cuts it over to a point. It's Rowenka, tees it up, the drive, blocker saved by Rassico. Puck and skates fished out by Kansas City, not out though, held in by Hurlbutt. Scremin bats it out of midair, and here come the Blades. Ian Boyce trying to advance it, but it was cleared by Hurlbutt. Craigwell is back, but the puck is hit with a high stick, and we'll take a break. 8 minutes to go in the third, and the Aeros with a 2-goal cushion. Aeros with a 2-0 lead. This is the second of a very important road swing, and actually the third of a very important stretch of games for this Aero Hockey Club heading into the weekend.
Well, and it was the travel last night, leaving Vegas at 12:30, arriving at the hotel today at 6 in the morning. A lot of the guys it was nice to have the flight not full last night. About 8 of the Aeros took the opportunity to grab 3 seats and stretch out so that they could get a little extra rest.
I have a real funny story about it, but I don't know, it's not one I could say on the air, but let's put it this way. It was near disaster for me, nearly having 2 other people in the seat, including someone that took up 2 seats sitting next to me. I didn't have it to myself. I'll leave it at that. Here's a puck controlled by Hurlbutt. Launched it down. And it's controlled by Conroy, a shot that Rassico gloved, and it went wide. So the bottom line, if you want to calculate how much sleep I had, just take your body weight and multiply it by 0. Here come the Blades. Across the line, McLean dropped it back. It was pushed away by Lamb. And Conroy trying to fire it ahead, and there's Guy LaRose with 7:05 to go in the third, 2-0 hockey game.
And the Aeros are just going to be patient, forcing the Blades to come all the way down to get shots on Frederick Chabot.
And the puck is shot into the Aero end, or into the Kansas City, and here's Scremin. And Sylvester cleared it first line across the line. Here's a shot and a great glove save made by Chabot. As moving in there was Jason Cerrone. And Chabot making the save. We'll see Jason Cerrone's former team on Friday night, the Long Beach Ice Dogs. And that was a big deal bringing Cerrone here for Jeff Circa. And Cerrone has definitely paid his dividends for the Kansas City Blades.
And Circa has really helped Long Beach. He's shored up their defense. Long Beach has won 14 straight at home.
Well, I think Chris McSorley said it best. He says, when you're healthy the way Long Beach is at, they've lost nobody this year. You're going to win hockey games. I would love to see what this Aero hockey team would be like with the Gary Shuchuk, with the Gord Krupke, with a healthy Mark Gregg. I mean, how many times has Mark Gregg been knocked out of the lineup because of some nagging injury? And Mark Lamb has yet to play a healthy hockey game this year. No, you wouldn't know it. As a shot from the point, stopped by Chabot. Puck out at center. And it's jumped on by Cerrone. Basigio is back, and here come the Aeros. Steve Jenks had it intercepted, and Sylvester across the line. Well, tripped up on the play by Freer, and the puck touched by the Aeros. And this is, let's not overlook the fact it's only 2-0 the Aeros, and this is a key penalty to Dave Basigio, and this is a very key power play for the Kansas City Blades here if they want to get back into this hockey game.
Well, Dave Basigio straddling the line. And the next thing you know, he upends Sylvester, and he's going to go off for 2 minutes. And you alluded to the fact that this is going to be a huge penalty kill. Basigio has got his stick out and kind of whacked him on top of the ankles, putting down Sylvester. He's about 6'3", so it's pretty easy to notice him out there when he gets knocked down that way. This penalty kill is going to be huge with only 6 minutes and 18 seconds left for the Aeros to kill off.
Second power play of the night for Kansas City, their first one yet to get a shot on goal. And we mentioned that the Aeros terrific last night in their penalty killing unit, and they will be put to the test here.
And look for the Blades to try to get Purvis open for that one-time shot. He'll be the key on the power play.
As will this guy, Jason Herter. He has got a cannon from the point. He'll send it up to Craigwell. He'll rip it into Aero territory. First one there is Cullinan. The rookie tossed it back, but it was cleared to center ice, and Herter goes back.
And it was that cannon shot that went too hard all the way around the boards. No one could get to it.
Here comes Craigwell again. He'll drill it in one more time. Cullinan again, this time able to corral it. Tried to center one, but that was picked up by Lamb and quickly shot right back into the blade end.
And how well have the Aeros jumped on all the loose pucks tonight?
Fantastic. That's been one of the things that has proven him successful tonight. Freer, cleared but not out. Held in by Cullinan. Scooped it down for Purvis. Late power play. Comes into Cullinan. A shot stopped by Shabbat. He got a stick on it. Scremin pinching, but it's cleared to center ice, and John Purvis is back.
Frederick Shabbat has had to be very sharp the last 6-7 minutes in this hockey game.
Scremin at center with 54 seconds remaining in the blade power play. Jeff McLean in across the line. He is hammered by Hurl, but down to the ice he will go.
And he's likely been the best blade player tonight forward. Craigwell, Boyce, and Jeff McLean has played a whale of a game.
I agree with you there. Cerrone right side. Give it along the board. He was trying to find Purvis. Kite trying to shovel it down, and Malamon is there to scoop it right back down the ice. 25 seconds left in the penalty to Dave Basigio. 4:37 to play, third period, and the Aeros enjoying a 2-0 lead. Kite hoists it in. Out of the net, Shabbat hammered over to Malamon and cleared to center ice. 5 seconds left in the power play, and the Aeros have killed it off. Out of the box, Basigio. And here is Jim Kite. Long lead pass for Jason Cerrone. Yo knocked it down. Pushed in across Craigwell. Out at center. 4 minutes to go, and the Aeros up 2-0. They have killed off the second power play of the night for Kansas City. Yo. Fired it in. Out of the net, Andre Rasico. And it's cleared out at center ice and back down into Aero territory. This will be an icing call as Jakes goes back, and we'll take a break. 3:43 left, and the Aeros looking for the win. Two 2-0, the Aeros lead it, and we send it down to the Aeros bench, and Rob Dobson and your counterparts putting in another solid effort tonight.
Yeah, you know, Freddie's played well the last while, and he played good the other night, although we, only gave up 2 goals. And, you look at when Freddie's on his game, and he really reads the play unbelievable.
Dauber, being a goalie, is it frustrating when you see the way Freddie has played and not had the offensive support?
Well, I know from, I was in a game that was 2-1, and it's just part of hockey. Some nights it works, some nights it doesn't. You'd love to see your team score 5 every night, but that's not the way things go. But, it is a little frustrating, but it's a team game, and we just do our job to stop it, and hopefully the goals come. So you can't get too frustrated about it. You live and die by it, and there's going to be games where you may give up 4 and they score 5, so it all works out in the end.
Real quickly, is Tippett one of the best at keeping emotions still?
Yeah, and that's one thing we mentioned in between periods. Just keep things simple and don't let emotions run high. Don't get involved too much in the play. Just do the little things right, and we'll be successful this third period.
Thanks, Dauber. A centering pass came in, but they're blowing it dead with a hand pass. Play halted.
And speaking about Rob Dobson, a lot of people forget Rob Dobson's goals against average is 2.80. He has over a 90 save percent. He's played very, very well when he's got the opportunity to play.
And we talked about it. He'll see action this weekend, likely Saturday, if I would have to guess.
And what a high-power offense that Chicago team has with Rob Brown leading the charges there.
Rob Brown, Steve Malte, and tell you what, folks, if you haven't gotten your tickets for either Saturday or Sunday, or for that matter, both nights, I would get them. I mean, you are going to see as potent an offense in the IHL as you'll find in the Wolves. Puck is into Kansas City territory. Here's a bad play by Rasico. Nearly cost him, but he was able to get it back, and it's out to center ice. Got a little too cute there. Jake's going back. But it's shot right over to Cerrone, and the blades turning. Cerrone gives it to Scremin. The shot hit the side of the net. Balasevic will turn, and he'll move it up the boards with 2:55 left, and the Aeros up 2-0. Jeff McLean. He'll turn and fire it out to center ice. And it's back into Kansas City territory. Here is Paul Dick. And they send it in behind the net.
And the Aeros just content using that trap, forcing the Blades to make mistakes.
Scremin tied up by Freer. Townsend overskated it. And David Bruce will turn. His shot in, and Shabbat out of the net. He'll roll along the wall. Aeros Townsend trying to clear it. It's popped away by Bruce, and here is Basijo with 2:05 to go in the third period. The Aeros come out 2-on-1. Freer with Townsend. Freer across the line. Barrels in on goal. Shooting. Boy, went short side, and I'll tell you what, Rasko had to make a very good save there. Freer trying to center one, and it's knocked away by the Blades. Rochefort, and here comes Craigwell. Across the line, he dropped it back. Basijo is there, and he'll swing it to center for Bill Bowler. Again, one of the 2 Aero tallies tonight. Aeros making changes. Here's Culloden. Smashed it into Aero territory with a $1.50 to go in the hockey game. Aeros lead it 2-0. McLean steered it down. A quick shot by Purvis, and Freddie Shabbat had to be alert there. Purvis trying to cut in. It was intercepted by LaRose, and Rassico wanted to come to the bench but couldn't.
He was lucky he did not, as there was a turnover and the Aeros jumped on the loose puck.
Paul Dick, lead pass intercepted by Mark Lamb. Trying to shovel it ahead. The Blades are back. Al Conroy shoots it in, and a minute remaining, and they still can't get Rassico to the bench. Scremin turning with 50 seconds to go in the hockey game. 2-0 Houston. Hurlbut steers it back to Jakes. So it'll be 10 out of 11 for the Aeros on the road. Cerrone centering one. That's chipped away. Conroy gives it to Lamb with 30 seconds left. Here's an empty net shot. Score! Mark Lamb getting the empty net goal. And the Aeros take a 3-0 lead, and that will do it.
And a smart play by Mark Lamb. He made sure he had the red line for the empty net goal, and he made no mistake. He was not going to just take a little wrist shot. He wound up and took a good hard slap shot into the middle of the net, the empty net, as Rassico had went to the bench for the extra attacker.
11th goal of the year for Mark Lamb.
Now Conroy made a very good play just to get the puck to Mark Lamb. Watch this. He wanted to make sure that that went into the net. He did not take a little wrist shot. He blasted it into the empty net.
And the Aeros will win this hockey game. Now the question is, can Freddie Shabbat hold on for his would-be leading shutout?
Well,
6th.
I think you're going to see all 5 Aeros players back trying to give Freddie Shabbat that shutout.
17 seconds left. Battle for the puck, Yo. Yo trying to dig it out. Dean Ewan tied up, give it to Ferschweiler with 9 seconds, centered. That's blocked, and the Aeros come out with it. May charging at center, give it to Valasevic. 2 seconds left, and Frederick Shabbat with his now league-leading 6th shutout of the season. And this game had team effort written all over Troy Gamble.
And a team shutout. Frederick Shabbat will be the first Aero player to admit that it was a team effort. He was able to get the shutout, but it was the little things, the work ethic, jumping on the loose pucks. The Aeros just flat outplayed the Blades tonight.
Houston wins it by a score of 3-0, and it takes us to our high-low scoring summary, brought to you by High-Low Auto Supply, and obviously no goals in the third. Oh, excuse me, that's right, the empty net goal. I forgot all about that one. Mark Lamb is 11th at 19.5, and the Aeros go on to win it by a score of 3-0, and that's your high-low scoring summary. Aeros win it 3-0, and we'll wrap things up after this. Houston Aeros Hockey on KNWS has been sponsored by Southwest Airlines, with low fares on every seat, every flight, every day. And by Columbia Healthcare. Healthcare has never worked like this before. And by your local Texas Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, Eagle dealers. Test drive one today. And by Whataburger, the homegrown Texas taste since 1950. So the Aeros with their 6th shutout of the year. Freddie Shabbat doing the honors. 3-0. The Aeros win it. And Troy, this was a game that the Aeros needed badly for a lot of reasons, if nothing else, a 60-minute effort.
And from the forwards. I thought the Aeros forwards dominated tonight, and that's the one thing that they haven't been able to do. They were very good, they were very quick, and they gave the Aeros defense and Frederick Shabbat a lot of support.
And it's time for our Whataburger play of the game, brought to you by Whataburger, the homegrown Texas taste since 1950.
And this was the turning point of the game. Bill Bowler, it's kind of a messed up play. It ends up being Palmer who misses his assignment on Bill Bowler. He gets a loose puck, but it was a bad goal. And as soon as that goal went in, you saw that the heads of the Blades players drop on the bench. So Bill Bowler, play of the game.
With the win, the Aeros now 21-18-2, and they gain ground on Long Beach as Long Beach idle tonight. The Aeros return to the Summit this weekend for a pair of tilts with the Chicago Wolves. Tickets are available by calling Ticketmaster at 629-3700. Game time Saturday is at 7, Sunday is at 6. At KNWS, and the Aeros return to the airwaves Friday night as the battle of the Long Beach Ice Dogs. Aeros will be trying to gain some ground on their Southwest Division foes. We'll have all the action beginning at 9 o'clock. For Troy Gamble, this is Adam Gordon saying so long from Kansas City.